Hey guys, and welcome to another Teach Me Total War training session. Today, we are once again going to be teaching DameOffensive in the art of war. I just realized I have a completely different video up on the screen, so let's take that down and start opening a multiplayer lobby. Now, today, things are going to be a little bit different. But from what I've explained to you guys before, basically, there's going to be a tournament coming up this weekend hosted over on Creative Assembly's live streaming YouTube channel, as well as on their Twitch, which is really exciting, and I'm hosting it. It's going to be a really fun event. We've got 8 streamers training 8 brand new players to multiplayer. We have a week to train them, and then they're going to be fighting it out in the multiplayer scene. In fact, not even a week. We had 5 days, which is kind of crazy. And we're going to be teaching them to fight against each other in tournaments on Saturday and the finals on Sunday. Our pupil is the warrior goddess herself, DameOffensive, so I'm very confident. We did do a one kind of training session already a couple of days ago, and honestly, she was very good, much better than I was expecting them to be, and she was kind of dominating the game already. So we're going to be hopping in and going a little bit more mean today, unfortunately. So today we've lined up a list of players. We have about 8 players who are going to come in and battle Dame. And we're not going to give her any advice during the battles anymore. We're going to talk to her through her selection process and give her feedback after the battles and just have her talk through what she thought was good, what she thought was bad. But for the most part, she is going to be on her own today. So we're going to open a lobby, call it DameOffensive. If Samurai Warrior is watching, you are up first, bud. I believe we have Samurai Warrior, Tech Priest, Captellus, Vicious Kebab, Grombrindle, Archangel, and then Nathan is going to be popping in at some point as well. So for the maps, I should probably do the maps. We're going to be playing the tournament on, so I'll get those in just a second. Before then, let's get Dame in here. Let's get her in on the call. So message Samurai as well. Lobby is up. And let's give Dame a call and make sure she's here. Boop. Hopefully she is. Hello, hello.
Hi.
Hey, how's it going?
All right.
Nice, nice. You ready to start kicking some butt?
Can give it a shot.
So, you're going to hate me by the end of today, by the way. I forgot to mention that before. But it's going to be quite a mean training session.
That's fine.
So the way, basically, I want you to learn today is by losing a load. So
Okay, already got started with that today. We're good.
So it's all good. So I think the more you kind of lose at this game, the better you become. That sounds really weird. But if something doesn't work, I want you just to try something completely different and new. And if that doesn't work, try something completely different and new. And just keep going in that kind of format.
Yeah.
So I've got about 8 players lined up to fight you today. And they're a mixture of tournament players and then also just players who have played multiplayer, so all relatively decent. And I'm going to give you advice whilst you're designing your armies and give feedback after the battle. But during the actual battle, I'm going to mute myself on Discord, so I can't speak to you at all. And I'm just going to cast the game and sort out some feedback, basically. Does that sound all good?
Sounds good.
Awesome, awesome. So I've created a lobby. I'll drop you a little invite. Looks like Samurai is already here. So you're going to be up against Samurai Warrior first, who's a really cool, actually, Italian YouTuber. Who does like his vampire counts, but I'll have to see who he plays. Okay. Were you able to disable your DLC unit?
Yeah, I left a bunch of FLC. You know, it was hard to tell, but I think I'm good.
Awesome. Perfect. That's great. Cool. So I've sent you an invite. Password is 123. I'm going to go quickly check what the tournament maps are, so we can just play on those today. If I can find them. How are your quick battles going? I know you'd played a few since we last did our training.
Yeah, I played a few. I won a couple. I think what I found was it was like I tried to play accordingly, but there was one battle that I loaded up and the balance of power was like way in the other person's favor at the beginning. And I was like, well, okay.
That's it. Were you against Beastmen?
Yeah.
Oh, don't worry too much. For some reason, I don't even know what it is fully, Beastmen always have an advantage on the balanced power at the start.
Well, I did still end up losing, so...
That's okay. But for the most part, yeah, I don't know what it is about Beastmen. The balanced power has kind of a love thing for Beastmen going on. So don't worry about that too much. So I'm gonna find the maps. Figure out what they've hidden. Oh, here we go. Okay. I'm gonna write these down so I don't forget them. We have a map called Languil, which is pretty good. It's like nice and open, like a Bretonian map. And then Crack Ungor. And Doctor. Are you still pretty set on the factions you wanted to play? I think last time you said they were Lizardmen, Lizardmen, High Elves, and Skaven?
Yeah, I think so. I would maybe consider the vampires.
Oh, okay, that'd be very cool. So we have a special guest as well later on today.
Okay.
A little bit later, who's actually the guy who helped organize this whole thing and actually made it possible. And he likes playing vampire counts, so we might be able to get him on chat as well,
All
and
right.
maybe give you some advice as well. But I'll get to that at the point. Yo. So we will let Dame pick and ban one. Cool. So the way this is going to work actually on the day in the tournament is you'll get to pick a faction and ban one faction.
Yeah.
And then your opponent will get to do the same in the next one. So all of today, I'm going to let you pick your faction first and just ban one faction you don't want your opponent to face. So in the top left, there's a little like chat box.
Yeah.
Just pick one of the factions you want to go for and then ban one as well. And then as we go through your build, I want you to explain to me why you're picking, for example, your Lord, why you're picking your infantry, and so on and so on.
Okay, I'm gonna ban high elves, and I'm gonna play as lizards. Cool. All right. So basically, I found that I didn't like the high elf fighting against the high elves as the lizards. I think they've got just like the right mix of stuff that it's been hard for me to counter.
Has it mainly been range, you reckon? Like
some of it
archers,
range, but I think the combination of the range and speed. So like my little units couldn't catch up to just like busy them. And that was problematic.
Okay.
I do like Mazda Mundi a lot.
I thought you would. I've also got an evil scheme for you. Later on for Skaven. I've got a video that I might show you that thinking of your playstyle and thinking what you can do with Skaven, because without the DLC stuff, they're actually really limited.
Yeah, I noticed.
But I think there's some real sneaky stuff that you'll be really good at, actually. But we'll get to that at a later point.
I was doing some testing. I found that the Saurus Scar Veteran on the Carnosaur was like awful. I don't know. It felt like he counted for more balance of power than he like took. And every time I brought a Saurus Scar Veteran, I lost pretty quickly.
Yeah. I think the Saurus Scar Veteran's probably a little bit better on a Cold One mount. Because you're still getting that anti-large character, but it's way cheaper and a lot smaller, so it's less likely to be kind of like blown up, basically, from like long range. Cool, so Samurai Warriors playing Dark Elves.
Yeah.
Now, really good news for you is you don't have to worry about Scourge Runner Chariots, because they're DLC units, and they're kind of like the bane of Lizardmen in this matchup. So what do you think is like the biggest threat to Lizardmen from the Dark Elves?
The armor-piercing missiles, for sure.
So how are you going to try and deal with that? Never mind, Samurai, that's no DLC.
Well, monsters are definitely at a big risk. So probably just like extra infantry to deal with it. They're not the fastest and they don't have that much armor, so I might bring some chameleon skinks.
That is a great choice, I think. So Dark Elves in general are expensive and squishy. They tend to hit really hard, which is kind of scary, but you're already going for the right idea of chameleon skinks. They're quite hard for the enemy to catch, but they dish out a decent amount of pain, and your Saurus Warriors should be fine up against Dread Spears and Bleak Swords and stuff. But you can bring big dinos in basically any matchup. It's just more of a risk, and it's how can you protect them and stuff. But I love this little duo you've formed actually over the last session with your Lizardmen as well, the Skink Chief and Mazda Mindy on the Stegodons. Very cool. Also, hello chat. I will speak to you when we mute Dame for the battles, but welcome. I think some of them think I'm being a bit mean as well, someone said, and teaching you like Dark Elves teach people.
Alright. I'm wondering if I should forego the giant monsters.
Mm-hmm. Oh, bringing Lord Croak. So Lord Croak is very good if he can hit.
Yeah.
The problem is his... Oh, so with his spells as well, I wouldn't bother ever using the small blast. So, you know, he has Deliverance of It, so with 3 blasts. Only use the middle one or the big one. Because the small one I don't think is worth the Winds of Magic as much. If you can make Lord Croak work, he can be really devastating, but he is relatively easy to dodge. So if you want to blow something up, the best way is to have it like pinned between 2 units, so it can't really run away very effectively. Or if it's real messy and there's like death all over the place and your opponent's having to microload of stuff, that's when you drop it. Just to add, you know, that more and more pressure.
Yeah. So I basically would never use it in campaign, but like plus 60 armor, is that like on Gorok's item, is that super useful?
So it depends how much money you have left over. It's one of those items which, it is decent, but it's not like a necessity with him. The main problem with Gorok is he's very tanky, so you can't really throw him away very quickly, which is great, but he's also quite slow. So he's not going to be, you know, jumping all around the battlefield, killing out all the enemy characters and stuff. So the main reason you're bringing him is that he doesn't die. So bringing him quite cheap's nice, because you just have a cheap lord who's not going to die, and it allows you to bring more troops.
Okay.
But I'm liking what I'm seeing so far. You've got like a good battle line. Saurus, Skinks, Chameleons are really good if you can manage them. The one thing you probably want to think about is how do you protect those Chameleon Skinks? So you've already got 1 unit of Cold Run Riders, which is really good, because they can fend off like cheap Dark Riders and stuff. Because for the most part, your cavalry is better than Dark Elf cavalry in combat. There's a few exceptions.
I guess my biggest concern is Gorok's probably the only one who can take out single entities. Really.
So if it's like a large single entity, the Chameleon Skinks are surprisingly good, because there's a lot of them, so every blow dart's going to connect and they can drag stuff down. Gorok is a decent melee combatant. If you see Lokir Fellheart, you want to run the other way, but apart from that, he can kind of tank the majority of Dark Elf Lords. But you can give it a go and see how it how it fares.
All right. Guess I am ready.
Yeah. Cool. I'm just going to mute you now, so you're on your own, I'm afraid. But I'll hop back in after the battle, yeah?
Okay.
I don't know how to deafen, but I have muted, so Dame can't hear us. We might be able to hear her if she's screaming in pain. But what's up, chat? Welcome. We're going to be training Dame Offensive today. It's going to be awesome. And basically, we're going to be just going through, hey, you know, talking her through her builds, through her decision-making, and then giving her feedback after the games. But during the games, we're not going to give any help. The max rules today, Nick, are basically unit caps. Unit caps are just turned on. It's just the simplest way for these new players to learn the game. 20 Skink Rush can be good, but it is a lot of micro for a new player. What's up, Grombrinder? What's up, Von Carstein, Nafis, Ghostly, Victor, Ace? I adore Dame Offensive. Same, man. Dame's a lovely person. McRightface, the legendary YouTuber himself. How's it going, bud? Do you have any new of your story-themed videos out recently? I need to double check, actually. I haven't seen your stuff in a little while. What's up, Cap? Tell us. You're going to be up against soon. We've got Tech Priest, then yourself, then Vicious Kebab, Grombrindle, Archangel, and then Nathan as well. I want to see you play my Dark Lord Nafis. I will play as well. But today is, for the most part, going to be about Dame and her rise to fame, hopefully. So, This is a really nice Dark Elf build in general, coming in by Samurai Warrior. Triple Dark Rise repeater crossbows. I specifically didn't tell Dame about these because I wanted to see how she reacted to mass skirmish cav. It's very popular in multiplayer. We also have 2 more units of Dark Riders as well to help protect them. Triple Reaper Bolt Throw to apply a bucket ton of long-range pressure. We then have Dread Spears across the battle line, double Black Guard of Nagarond with Witch Elves in the center, and Malekith, the Dark Lord himself, the memer. Well, not really meme, actually. He's very, very powerful. Probably the next best alongside Marathi, coming in with Chillwind as well as Soul Stealer. I'm very interested in doing some videos soon as well, guys, breaking down how you can build builds without any DLCs, but I don't know if that's something people would enjoy. You're here to watch Grombrindle fight Dame? Oh, he shall. He shall. She doesn't like dwarves, so it's going to be pretty funny as they come to blows. So nice formation initially here by Dame. It's relatively spread out. Now, we do have Skinks just ahead of Saurus Warriors. It's probably a bit better to have these guys a little bit wider, but at the same time, this is going to protect them from cavalry, so I don't mind that too much. Lord Croak is a very slow, ponderous target, and we can see some actually attempted jukes, which is pretty nice from Dame. And again, trying to juke the bolts. That's some really good micromanagement, actually. I didn't see many people do that. Chameleons are well off to the flank with 0 protection, which is a little bit scary for them. Down on the right, though, we do have Cold One Spear Riders, Feral Cold Ones, and 2 units of Pterodons swooping their way around the flank. I think having Pterodons in the back would have been a bit of a better situation for them because they can sneak up on the enemy far more easily. And now we're going to have to watch these Saurus Warriors grind through the enemy formation. A bucket ton of bolts are actually connecting now with Lord Croak, which is very, very scary. Gaze of Malice goes down on the Skink cohort as well. It is relatively well timed. Once again, Dame does attempt to dodge though, which is really good to see. Now, the Chameleon Skinks are trying to get up around the flanks, but there's only cavalry here, and the cavalry simply can jump them, which would be very problematic. So Skinks are going to make the initial fight, and here we can see units stacking. So this isn't good. We don't want to see this too much. Saurus Warriors fighting alongside Skinks. I mean, it can be good because the Skinks are absorbing the firepower. This is better to do with monstrous infantry. If we had gone a little bit wider, we could poke through the gaps and start getting towards this back line. Now, all of the Dark Riders have gone over here to fend off the Pterodons, which is going to be very problematic for Dame. And you can see Lord Croak is going to start to go down here. He needs to start using some of his magic just on these units of Black Guard of Nagarons. And it looks like, nope, he's not going to be popping one. I thought he was. It was his spell coming down here. Chameleons are being dealt with by the Dark Riders, so kind of going isolated on that left-hand flank has really cost them quite badly here. And we are going to see, though, a Deliverance of it to go down, and it may well connect with the Dark Riders. Samurai Warrior last second manages to juke it, and unfortunately, I don't think we catch anyone there in the snare of Lord Croak. But we are busting through the front line. Lord Croak goes down, and the Saurus are starting to pile in, trying to bring the pain to the Reaper Bolt Throwers. Pterodon Riders are vibing up in the skies, just unleashing shots down on the Dread Spears, doing some pretty nice work, actually. I like the Fire Leech Bowler pick quite a bit. And now the Skink cohorts are going to be pushing in to deal with the Bolt Throwers, but rather wisely, Samurai Warrior is simply going to retreat backwards, which is the smart thing to do. Chameleons are trying to tag team the Dark Riders, and they are actually slowly starting to win on this flank, which is really good. But imagine if the cavalry was also pushing through here, the Lizardmen would be in a really solid position. A lot of the artillery has started to be overrun. The Pterodons are having free reign right now. Dark Riders have been forced back, but they're going to be quite scary in the later stages of the game. Witch Elves, likewise, up to 70 models still and 15 kills. Bolt Throwers trying to focus down Gorok, and a little bit of kiting going on from the Dark Elves, which is good to see. Chameleon Skinks actually being moved in combat mode onto the Reaper Bolt Thrower crew to drag them down quicker than using their range attacks. Lovely to see. The crazy thing is with Dame, if you guys saw the last one, she does a lot of the elite stuff really well. It's just getting the basics down, which she is starting to do really well. Gorok has been a little bit slow and ponderous right now. He's not the quickest of beasties, and now that he's been caught by the Witch Elves, he is a little bit stuck. And the Skink cohorts and Saurus Warriors are now going to have to engage with the Black Guard of Nagarons. Pterodon Riders are doing a decent job applying pressure. They are hunting down the Witch Elves, which is certainly a good target for them. And we can see the Saurus Warriors are slowly being dragged down. Likewise, the Chameleon Skinks on that left-hand flank have started to break. They did finish off some of the Bolt Thrower crews, but balance power is certainly slipping away now from the Lizardmen forces. Despite Gorok being tanky, he simply can't get to the right situation at the right time, which can be a big problem for him there. And it looks like the Dark Elves shall be claiming victory. Yes, yes. Yeah, Lord Croak, man, he's a risk for sure. He is a risk. Is that Samarizzle faux Shizzle Warrior? It is indeed. No, it is indeed. Nice, I mentioned how to juke yesterday in her stream when Kolek was getting shot up. Really nice juking. So that was done really well. So the things we liked there was the juking, the applying the pressure, moving Chameleon Skinks into combat. I think Lord Croak was quite a big liability, and Gorok simply couldn't have an impact on the battlefield due to how slow he was. But we'll hop back in and see how she did. GG, well played. So let's hop back over. Hello, hello.
Hi.
Hey, how was that?
That was rough.
So you actually did some really good stuff in there, and also obviously some like bad stuff in there, so we can go through it. But what did you think went wrong, and what do you think went right to start with?
Well, I was surprised that the bolt throwers were able to target Croak like perfectly. I've never seen that. So that was unpleasant.
Yeah.
And that, that was probably a lot of my balance of power pretty fast.
How did you think Gorok did?
He wasn't great. I mean, he was slow, so he probably would have been best against Malekith, but couldn't catch him. So I'm guessing he was like able to tank enough, but ideally he would have maybe created more areas for Croak to do magic on.
Yeah, precisely. So Lord Croak, unfortunately, this is the luck of the kind of the dice with Lord Croak, is he can be very powerful, but if your opponent has prepared some long range to kind of deal with large threats, which the Dark Elves almost always will against Lizard Men, he can be a big liability, because if they've gone for bolt throwers or crossbows, they can drag him down really quickly. And then that's all your winds of magic gone straight away. If you had like a little skink priest, he's like way harder to hit. And even if he's not quite as powerful, he's a lot cheaper and he'll be alive a lot longer to cast more spells. There was some things you did really good as well. So you moved Chameleon Skinks into combat to take down artillery crews faster, which was really nice. So that was good to see. The main problem was your Chameleon Skinks were your only answer to his cavalry, the repeated crossbowmen. So when your Skinks were moving up the left flank, you probably should have had cavalry going with them. Because as soon as they're revealed, your opponent just takes his light cavalry and charges over there and can easily kill the Skinks. They've got nothing to protect them. So if you do bring something like Chameleon Skinks, you just need to remember, okay, my opponent has cavalry, I need some way to protect my own Skinks. So either keep them near some infantry and don't push them around so much, or have cavalry nearby who can always spring on the Dark Riders if need be. But yeah, I think the main problems there was more or so like Gorok again, you kind of already covered that. He couldn't be in the right place at the right time because he's just too slow, and that is a problem with foot characters in general. And Lord Croak getting sniped. The only other thing I noticed as well with your formation, a lot of the time you had Saurus fighting on top of Skinks. So you had like 2 units fighting 1 unit. Which is, fine if you're trying to help the Skinks out a little bit. But if you've got better infantry than your opponent, you want a little bit like longer front line, so you've got as much of your army fighting as much of the opponent's army kind of at the same time, if that makes sense. Awesome. But you did some really good stuff as well, like applying the pressure on the flanks, getting Chameleon Skinks around the back as well was really nice. But Samurai Warrior is a very tough opponent. A lot of the people today are going to be very tough, so don't get disheartened by any losses. That was still a really good Lizardman game. The main problems was just, Lord Croak and Gorok a little bit, and then not being able to support the chameleons.
Yeah.
Although chat is saying you won the moral victory by bringing Lord Croak, so you can take that as well. People love Lord Croak because he's such a clever roll of the dice. So, here we go. Looks like Tech Priest is in. So once again, you can do a pick and ban. We'll switch the maps. I'm just going to keep bouncing between all of the maps that we're going to be facing on day 1 of the tournament. Just to get used to them. So that first one was called Dot Karaz. This one is Karak Ungor. And then we also have Langwil as well. So feel free to do a pick and ban. You can either stick with Lizardmen or go between, Vampire Counts, High Elves, and Skaven.
Alright, I'll try the Counts. And I guess... And the Lizardmen?
Yep, that is a very good ban, actually. There's a very good ban.
Heinrich Kemmler was FLC, right? I didn't take...
Who came with the Grim in the Grave? That was Gorst, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so you can't take Gorst. Oh yeah, there's a few units here we can't take, actually. So you can't take, I don't think you can take Mortis Engines.
Okay.
If I remember correctly, and you can't take, yeah, Helm and Gorst there. The main thing, I think, with Vampire counts, with the restrictions we have, so don't get any DLC stuff, normally see a lot of counts kind of blobbing and grinding. To try to whittle down the enemy, but I think without the DLC units, the best way to go is either with an Air Core or go and mass Blood Knights and a load of healing to heal them up. But obviously we have to wait to see. Tech Priest might be going Dowie, which would be an interesting fight. Interesting fight if he does. Okay, he's doing a speech, so I'm not sure he's going Dowie or Empire. We'll see. Yeah, chat's just kind of confirmed it for me. Yeah, all corpse cards are out.
Okay.
So yeah, no Gorst, no corpse cards, no Mortis Engines, none of the Regiment of Renown.
Yeah, I don't think I have any of those, so I think it's just Kemmler.
Oh!
I was just curious about Kemmler.
Yeah, no, you're right. I'm looking on my screen. I've just realized I'm an idiot. Because I'm looking on my screen, I can see everything.
Oh, okay.
I think. So yeah, you're good. Probably. Okay, looks like he's going to be going Empire.
Right. Okay.
So
definitely going to be a lot of guns.
Yeah. So what do you think Empire are going to do? Well, first and foremost, what do you think Vampire counts are good at? Because he's going to try and stop that.
Terror routing and magic are up there.
Yeah. I'd say your single entities and your monsters are very powerful because you have healing. You've got arguably the best knights in the game in the form of Blood Knights. They can go toe-to-toe with almost anyone. And you've got a load of cheap chaff. And summons. So summons are great up against factions like Empire and Dwarfs who you think are going to have guns. You can fly a lord over there quickly and drop a summon down, and all of a sudden all their handgunners are going to be in a pretty terrible spot.
Yeah.
But, so Empire to try and counter that, your Empire opponent's probably going to bring, yeah, either a load of guns, or, if they're feeling particularly risky, they can go a load of Demigryph Knights and that kind of stuff and try to match you monster to monster. But I think for the most part, that kind of favors you because you have better access to healing. I'd almost always, as like a Vampire Count Lord, if you can, bring something like Raise Dead and Invocation of the Hecker spells, and then the rest is kind of up to you.
Yeah.
It's just the healing's so good, and summons are also very powerful in multiplayer in general.
I feel like I should be allowed to bring Krell, right?
Oh, how's that? Are unit caps turned on? I think Krell is like the summon on Heinrich Kemmler.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's a weird thing. If unit caps aren't on, you can actually just bring units of Krell. Which definitely isn't allowed. But yeah, you can bring the Krell summon 100%.
Okay. Yeah, healing.
I think Kemmler also has a really good item. Oh, I forget its name though. It's either like a Cloak of Shadows or something along those lines.
Yeah, Cloak of Mists and Shadows imbues magical damage and physical resist.
Yeah, I think if he's ever getting sniped, so if like Karl Franz goes after him or something, they can jump on you. can see chat trying to design some Empire builds. But chat, you gotta remember there's no DLC in it. Empire doesn't have Volkmar, doesn't have Knights of the Blazing Sun, which is really good because Volkmar's pretty good against you. So you know your opponent is gonna have to pick Balthazar Gelt, who's like a little flying annoying lord who will cast spells. There's not too much you can do to catch him realistically, particularly if you're going with Heinrich Kemmler. So just try and kill your opponent's build as quickly as possible, or he'll go for something like Karl Franz. Again, he'll probably be in the air if you've got Karl Franz. But...
Okay.
Cool. I'm liking the build so far, by the way. It's very cool. Yeah, White Kings are nice as well. So I'm going to ask you a question here, though, as you're building your build. What do you do with this army if your opponent brings Karl Franz in the sky?
Well, I was thinking I could take him down with the Terrorgeist and, like, kind of slow him with the Fellbats.
That is a plan, but Karl Franz will kill a Terrorgeist in the sky. If the Terrorgeist is, like, fighting alone.
Well, yeah, I thought I'd get all of them together. And I do have Gaze of Nagash.
Very nice. Yeah, so you're going to use, like, magical support from the ground with, like, Gaze of Nagash and stuff.
Yeah.
Cool. I like that as a plan. If your opponent ever does go Karl Franz in the sky, and this is in any matchup and you're against Empire, 99% of the time they're going to have brought a Jade Wizard as well. To heal Franz, because he relies so much on that healing, he has no way of regenerating. So if you ever got the opportunity to kill your enemy's caster, I mean in any game, but particularly if they've got something like Karl Franz, kill the caster before you hurt Franz. Because otherwise you'll do a load of damage to him, he'll escape, heal up, and then you've got to do the whole thing again.
Okay. All right, I guess I'll give it a go.
Yeah, you ready?
I think so.
Okay, cool. I'm going to disappear then and leave you to your thoughts and your battle cries. Cool, good luck.
Thank you.
Cool. This is going to be interesting. This is going to be an interesting battle, guys. I'm very worried about Karl Franz here. I think a Karl Franz in the sky is going to be able to beat the Terrorgeist. We'll have to see if Fellbats are used successfully. There's a good chance we'll get Balthazar Gelt, though, just by that speech the opponent made. Yeah, no Knights of the Blazing Sun, which is huge. It's, honestly, I'm tempted to host a tournament like this, where everyone has to turn off all their DLC stuff, and you just go with the base game, because there is some wild stuff. There's, like, Skaven versus Dowie is almost, like, Dowie favored now without DLC. It's crazy. There's so much crazy stuff, and it makes people come up with really interesting tactics. Yeah, no corpse cart's really bad for vampire accounts in a way, but remember your opponent's also lacking a lot of their kind of vital tools. For example, Skaven don't have weapon teams and stuff, so I think it forces you to go a little bit more aggressive. And thank you so much, Wicked D. Yeah, the lovely lady we are teaching today, DameOffensive, does have a YouTube channel. She mainly focuses on Total War campaign, and that's why we brought her in to play some of the multiplayer. So this tournament's really fun. I've seen her Intensity training his guy, Logic's training Mercy the Mad, even CA as well. I ran into the guy they're training. CA have a team. And I'm just very thankful. One, I don't think he's in chat yet, but basically I've got an evil plan, or like a nice evil plan. That's when Nathan, who's a guy who works for CA, pops in on the tournament day, I'm going to try and get chat chanting his name, because he was the one who kind of like helped put this together and made it possible. So, oh dear God. Oh dear God. Okay, this is a interesting Empire build. This is not something that Dame is going to be expecting, and I don't think something anyone's going to be expecting. We have a steam tank with a Luminarch of Hish, a load of great swords, Warrior Priest, Jade Wizard, and Foot Franz in a Death Blob. And a load of great swords surrounding them with some halberds as well. So the Black Coach is going to have a field day if it can indeed connect. So are the Blood Knights. Terrorgeist is going to have to keep dodging and moving. Likewise are the Vargulfs and Heinrich Kemmler. So yeah, this is not something you'd expect to face, I suppose, in a tournament battle. But we'll have to see how it goes. Yeah, no zombies as well. I think I'll explain that afterwards, where Skeleton Warriors are, you know, they're still okay. The problem is they're basically just there to pin the enemy in place and die, and you can do that cheaper with zombies, right? Faith, Steel, and Gunpowder. There is some magical power here for sure. Yeah. Isn't Spartacus training someone too? No, I'm afraid not. No, the people taking part. So Turin was meant to take part, but I think just for like personal reasons, he couldn't make it. And same with Milk and Cookies, which is really upsetting because I haven't actually worked with those guys on a project yet. So I want to bring them in, but they couldn't do it for different reasons, which are completely like fine, obviously. So we got Logic in to replace Turin, so he took over the job of looking after Mercy the Mad. And then we have, yeah, myself, Logic, Darv. I'm going to see have someone as well. Intisity, Falcon, Valkanos, and one more. I've completely blanked on who it is, which is my bad. I'll look up the whole list anyway and give them a shout out later on. But there's quite a few people to remember. We have 8 teams competing, basically. Dame needs to remember her ABCs, always be charging, exactly. So the really cool thing, which I'm actually the most excited for, is Dame is an aggressive player, and that is so rare in new players. So rare in new players. No new player ever plays aggressive. Terrorgeist is already starting to juke shots, and it looks like, though, the target was the Black Coach instead. It looks like, again, attempting to dodge, but a little bit too late. I forgot to mention that to her before. I'll write that down. Dodge. Reminds me of a meme. But, yeah, it looks like we are going to get a very quick Invocation Heck trying to save this coach. And she could use this rock on the right-hand side for a bit of protection. Now, the Terrorgeist is going to be absolutely fantastic here. If they can get a breath attack down on the halberds, there is, like, nothing to stop it. Just sniping all these characters and steam tanks and stuff. Heinrich Kemmler is taking a little bit of abuse. Now, the cavalry took a bit too wide of an approach here, but still, they're getting the job done. And if they can do some hammer and anvil tactics, pinning the enemy in place with the infantry and then crashing down with the knights, they can certainly do some good work. It really is going to come down. Can she limit the damage she takes on the approach? Because vampire counts. If you lose your leader, you're basically done for. So Heinrich Kemmler, I would also start running towards this rock or just hide him as much as possible. The undead legions are starting to emerge. Terrorgeist can get nice and aggressive. There's nothing here which can shoot it realistically without a big wind-up time. So get it flying over and dishing out the pain. Luminarch is lining up some shots, and it's going straight off the Kemmler, and he does attempt to dodge, but still gets clipped. So we can hear Dame, actually. So yeah, she wasn't too happy by that, and I understand. So Invocation Heck does go on. Blood Knights crash into the back of the Great Swords as the Skeleton Warriors do start to move forward. So a lovely pincer movement here, and the Hex Wraiths are going to jump in as well, looking to crash this left-hand flank. Heinrich Kemmler needs to just get out of danger where possible, and the Fellbats are actually starting to distract the Luminarch, which is a really good target. The Terrorgeist is coming in as well. Needs to be careful. Karl Franz is here, and you don't want to mess with Karl Franz, particularly when he is buffing up all his troops with the Warrior Priest and Karl Franz, and it looks like we're going to see some strikes coming down to deal with those Fellbats. So unfortunately, Terrorgeist is a little isolated on its own. However, Blood Knights and Hex Wraiths are dealing really well with the Great Swords on this left-hand side. They just need to keep on doing that and focusing them down. The Vargulf is doing okay. It's up against Great Swords. It needs to support the Terrorgeist here, which is getting its ass beat right now by Karl Franz. And the Black Coach is doing a decent work job, though, just running its way through all the Great Swords. We do have some Skeleton Warriors who need to get mobile on the flanks, but this left-hand side has completely collapsed now for the Empire, so we'd like to see this just happen all the way along. Blood Knights now rear attack the Great Swords. Hex Wraiths move in, attack that Luminarch of Hysh, and deal with the back. The Vargulf's doing an okay job still. The Great Swords are starting to struggle. The Black Coach needs to keep moving. That, of course, is its main strength. And Krell has been summoned, and he's attempting to go after the Luminarch. If the Fellbats can pin it in place, that would be really, really lovely. So the Hammer and Anvil's been good so far. Great Swords being dragged down by Skeleton Warriors is always a shame. Karl Franz has been absolutely punted like the puny manlin he is. Looks like we're going to see some summons as well. Blood Knights coming in. Again, Earthblood go down, but summons here. Blood Knights are here as well. It looks like they fell back a little bit, maybe a little bit concerned, but are going to charge in once more. Black Coach is struggling as well, but the Great Swords are being overwhelmed on the flanks. Luminarch of Hysh needs to be a load of pressure applied to it constantly. Get the Vargulf over here and beat it up. It is isolated and alone. It looks like Heinrich Kemmler is going in for the kill himself, but pull back the Vargulf, pull back the Black Coach, and hunt this beastie down. The cycle charging from the Hex Wraiths and the Blood Knights is really good, but this hero blob is pretty nasty. All the vampire counts should do at the moment is just kill the rest of the build. Float over here with the cavalry, kill the great swords, and yeah, kill the great swords on both flanks, and just leave this Doom blob to the end. Vargulf's doing good. Krell is also dishing out the pain, but yeah, the hero blob's a little bit nasty, not gonna lie. Loomluck of Hish is on the run, with Heinrich Kemmler chasing it down. The Hex Wraiths are on the warpath again, looking to charge into the enemy, and the Blood Knights are actually detaching and going to rear charge the Great Swords, which is really good. No, they're going to cancel that. Okay, they're going after Luminarch. That's not a bad target whatsoever. They realize it was isolating alone. She tries to pin it in with a zombie summon and then jump on top of it. The Vargulf's doing fine. The Black Coach is going to be going down here, unfortunately, but to be honest, it's used up a lot of its potential. It could fly over here and kill Great Swords, which would be really nice. Now, Loomluck Hish is terrified and being forced off. Great Swords are being buffed by the Warrior Priest, which is very, very scary for sure. Krell is still in here. It looks like he's... How long has Krell been fine for? I love it. He's done a shift today. I never get to see Krell in action. Krell, come back here. I want to see your damage value. Only 249. Well, he's applied some good pressure. He can probably want to hop on top of some of these foot characters who can't escape him as much because he's been trying to hunt down the Luminarch where possible. Great Swords are starting to return to the battlefield, which is really bad news. We still have the Hex Wraiths as well as the Blood Knights doing some good cycle charging, but they simply can't kill the characters right now. And the Vargulf is now getting really low. Needs to do a little bit more cycle charging on it. The Black Coach does go down. Krell is trying to deal with the Steam Tank, and he's putting a bit of a shift. But the Vargulf and the Terror guys kind of fought against the blob alone when they really had to fight together. Blood Knights are floating out over the flanks. I'd love to see a rear charge into these Great Swords, get them off the battlefield as quickly as possible. And now the Vargulf is going to start hunting down the Luminarch, which is certainly good to see. So it's just beating up the Luminarch, hunting it down, and it's... oh my god, some lovely hits coming in. The Steam Tank is on the warpath looking to help support. And the Luminarch is getting absolutely clobbered right now and perhaps even broken. Once again, the Steam Tank is isolated and being pulled apart from this hero death blob. Krell is still going strong because he's an absolute raid boss. Hex Wraiths shall be moving in to support. It looks like the Luminarch will eventually be going down here. Now, balance power is slightly against the undead right now, but they have got the Luminarch off the field. And once again, the Steam Tank is isolated. Krell is hunting down the Jade Wizard, which I love to see. Some really top-notch play. But Karl Franz and the Jade Wizard both being alive is very, very scary, as well as the Warrior Priest. So the Luminarch Hish has been dealt with. Hex Wraiths probably want to chase it off and shatter it, and then just pull back all her troops and try to kill the Great Swords. It does look a bit of a losing battle, a very close one so far though, and we are going to see a zombie summon come down now. Unfortunately, Heinrich Kemmler, for the first time in the game, is isolated and alone, and he is trying to leg it from a Warrior Priest, a Steam Tank, and Karl Franz. And I don't know if that's going to go too well for him. He's lost a lot of his bastions of safety and kind of places to escape to. So here we have the Vargulf plus the Hex Wraiths chasing off the Luminarch of Hish. I don't mind it. It'd be much more effective if you just had one chasing them off. But they have managed to shatter it, and instantly they start coming back, which is some quick micro there from the Lady Dame. Blood Knights are charging in. They get a nice surround on the Steam Tank, trying to drag it down. But they're certainly going to struggle against all these halberds, which are here. 76 halberds left is very scary stuff. A lovely dodge coming away from the air effect from the Warrior Priest. Hex Wraiths looking to jump on top of the Great Swords and drag them down. Hopefully that terror will be able to come in the late game as well. Heinrich Kemmler continuing to move away. So the Blood Knights are still relatively healthy. We do have some Skeleton Warriors in the distance who can come back. And the Vargulf, if healed, can still be a bit of a potential problem for this Empire force. Hex Wraiths are doing a decent job right now up against the Great Swords, who do have the Shield of Faith popped on them, which is a little bit scary. But I don't think there's any magic damage here, unless I am tripping. So the Hex Wraiths are going to be relatively tanky, and the Blood Knights are going to lance in as well, sending Great Swords as well as Halberdiers flying. Heinrich Kemmler is vibing right now. Looks like we do get another Earthblood, and it does look like Dame kind of forgot the key thing here, which was get rid of that Jade Wizard, because it has done so much healing onto Karl Franz and the Steam Tank, and that is very, very problematic. Yeah, Krell lost really long. Yeah, Raptor. It was an interesting build from the Empire. It was a little bit like all the hero blobs, a little bit nasty, but you know, it did good work as well. I know Tech Priest actually takes this as a competitive build because I've got to replay it against him and Logic playing in this exact thing. So the Vargulf is going to be coming back. The Hex Wraiths are as well as the Blood Knights. They need to continue be cycle charging right now. I think she's trying to buy time perhaps to do some healing, but get some rear attacks on when the zombies are kind of being the anvil for the hammer to strike upon. And we saw lots of good stuff. Yeah, the Soul of Fire does do the magic damage for sure. Yeah, no, Gandalf survived, man. Gandalf's still going, or evil Gandalf, I should say. He's very near his healing cap right now. X-Wraiths are going to charge in. We do get a well-placed Hammer of Sigma, though, going down by the Empire forces. And Hex-Wraiths jump on top of the Greatswords, looking to pierce their flesh. Vargulf as well. Want to try to start hunting down some of these characters. I don't think there's anything Dame can do at this point to win the game, unfortunately. If she had a Wind of Death, this battle would be so beautiful. But unfortunately, we don't have one. Now, Karl Franz with the Hammer of Sigma is very easily going to be able to beat up the Vargulf. Heinrich Kemmler is in there as well. A lovely dodge once again from the Hex Wraiths, coming in up against that really horrible bombardment for them. Blood Knights do a lovely rear attack, and a lot of the enemy infantry is actually starting to waver. I don't think there is any hope to kill the single entities. Even if all the infantry breaks it, even if all the halberds go away, if all the great swords go away, there's nothing left to kill Franz. I mean, maybe cycle charge him with the Vargulf might be enough. But Reichel Runefan and Garmaraz does go down on all of these troops. Though a few of them are starting to break. Great Swords are running for their life right now. More Great Swords as well. Reichel Runefan currently popped on everyone, which is really nasty. And the Hex Wraiths are going to swoop in, trying to bring the pain. So Great Swords have been broken. The Steam Tank is still going strong. And the other Great Swords as well. Reichel Runefang and Shield of Faith currently active. It looks like they're just about going to be able to claw it out. I mean, Blood Knights are doing some lovely work, though. Look at all the infantry run for its life. The cowardly humans flee before the undead. The Vargulf is going to pull back as well. Hexwraith's doing a really solid job. If she can continue to dodge those soul fires, they can do massive damage to basically everything here. Blood Knights are going to pull back and charge in. Now, the cycle charging has been really good. It's been a tiny bit too far out before coming back in. But, you know, it's still been very good as well. So you can see the Blood Knights go all the way out here before coming back in. They only need to go a couple of meters back, and then they can charge in. Unfortunately, Army Losses is going to kick in, and that is going to be a victory for the forces of the Empire. But very close once again. Very close once again up against a real nasty Empire build, actually. It's very much a reverse of her Lizardmen build. It's just a big roll of the dice. That build is either going to destroy or get absolutely ruined. A little bit, yeah, unfortunate there. Obviously, we had so many single entities here for those kind of like the Steam Tank, which got 2,100 value, and the Luminarch to focus down. So 1.2k damage value on that. 1.3 on the Warrior Priest, 750 on the Jade Wizard, 2,300 on Foot Franz. Great Swords, 1.2, 680, 993, 830, and 250 damage value. 1.7 on the Halberdiers. So they did a good job. The undead forces. Black Coach got 1.3k, which wasn't too shabby. 2,000 on the Vargulf. If that Terrorgeist hadn't committed when it did, I think Dame probably wins this. 1.9 on the Hex Wraiths. Imagine the breath attacks from the Terrorgeist coming in the later stages of the game there. It'd be very, very scary. You thought you had that one? Yeah. Not bad at all. Nathan, we were speaking about you earlier, actually. I was hoping you could give some advice to Dame on Vampire Counts and Skaven. I know you are a Skaven Chad. So, let's pop her back into Dame. Hello, hello.
Hi.
What up, what up? How did that one go? So, honestly, that Empire build is not something you're gonna likely face. It was basically just a hero blob with, like, the Luminarch and the Steam Tank and stuff. You did all the right things, but just a little bit either too slow or a little bit too early. So, the Terrorgeist, I am assuming you panicked a little bit when you saw the Luminarch and the Steam Tank. And you kind of chucked it in there to try and kill the Luminarch just instantly. Because it was being a big pain in the butt and, like, shooting your lord and so on. And the Black Coach. So, you charge into the fight, and he's also got to fight Karl Franz, a Warrior Priest, Halberds, a Steam Tank, and it's just a little bit too much for it. But that is the right idea. Like, you can hop that down and definitely kill the Luminarch. You just had to be a little bit more patient and wait for the battle to fully start before doing that. It was kind of similar to what we spoke about before of fighting with your whole army in unison. And kind of not committing one element too early where the rest of your army can't support it too well. Things you did, honestly, like, brilliantly, which I didn't expect you to do, was you did some lovely hammer and anvil stuff, where your front line had started to pin in great swords, and you were rear attacking them with your cavalry, and then you were pulling out and rear attacking again and again and again. That was really top notch. The only like smallest, this is really nitpicky it, when you pull back your cavalry in this situation, because your opponent had nothing to chase your cavalry, you're running quite far away before turning around to charge back. You can do it way quicker. You can just fall back, you know, a couple of yards, turn around and charge instantly back in again, and you're still going to get that charge bonus. So the only thing there really was just the enemy kind of having this character blob, which isn't something you're going to face super often, to be honest. So up against that build, which is your opponent basically just threw the dice on like, this is either going to go really well for him or really terrible. So considering your build was relatively hard countered by his, I think you did a really good job. The only other thing about Skeleton Warriors, I think your build was good, but you probably could have taken a couple of warriors out and replaced them with zombies instead, because they're doing the same job of, hey, we're not going to win, but we can pin the enemy in place and allow the cavalry to win the fight, which you so nearly did. I thought you actually had the battle at one point, because you started dragging your opponent's like hero blob a little bit apart, so the Luminarch wasn't protected by fronds, and then you pounced on it and jumped it, and you really started to pick apart your opponent's build. It was just the tiniest little bit too late, unfortunately. But honestly, that was a very impressive performance.
Thanks.
So, did you have any questions, by the way, about that game at all?
No, not really.
No? Okay, cool. Cool. Well, I'll let you do the same again and go up against Captellus. Captellus is a super cool dude. He's actually part of my clan. He does like, I will tell you, he does like Empire. So you can feel free to ban them if you want to be mean to him. Yeah, literally Nathan just popped in chat. He's the guy who is the true champion of this tournament. He's the one who kind of like was organizing all behind the scenes. He's like a puppet master. And he literally said that Empire build was a strong counter against yours, and you still put up a solid fight, which I agree with.
All right. Yeah, I think I'll try the counts again. And I think I'll just still ban lizards. That's fine.
Yep, that's a good ban. Lizardmen against vampire counts are one of the few factions which can kind of form like a small little box and kind of hold off the vampire counts relatively well. It's not like undoable or anything, but it is a little bit rough. Thank you, Mick Rightface, as well. You also be awesome, man. Enjoy your... well, I think you got a work meeting, but enjoy as much as possible. Oh, Bretonia. This is going to be fun. So I'm assuming you're well aware of what Bretonia is kind of all about. What their whole jam is.
Yeah.
So what kind of things scare you about Bretonia?
Well, the Flying Lords would be an issue. There's a lot of cav and mix of damage types.
Yep. Yeah, so I think you've honestly pretty much nailed it on the head there. The cavalry is very scary. They've got some of the best cav in the game, but luckily so do you. You've also got Blood Knights, and you have good healing. One other thing to note about Bretonia is, infantry-wise, they're relatively similar to you in the fact they've got a load of chaff, which they don't really care if it dies. You don't really care if yours dies that much. But they do have peasant archers. Now, peasant archers, pretty terrible aim. They smell funny, and they don't look too cool, but there is so many of them in a unit that they can really start to wear you down over time. So I think you had the right idea of your first vampire count build as well, where you have like a load of chaff to bog down the enemy chaff, and then it's going to come down to those big cavalry fights and the big monster fights as well. So if you're worried about the air core, there's kind of two things you can do to deal with that. You either go massive flying units back, so you bring a big dragon, you bring a Terrorgeist alongside it, and Fellbats to support, and you try to win the air game. or you completely ignore it and go a load of cavalry, and you say, okay, eventually you're going to have to come down and land, and when you do, I'm going to jump you, because line units are pretty hard to use, as you noticed with the Terrorgeist in the last game. Once they land, if they get surrounded, they cannot get back up again. They really struggled. Oh yeah, and someone in chat says, I'm not going to worry about the Fey Blob. So, if your opponent does have Fey Enchantress, by the way, not saying Hellas would, Fey Enchantress, her power really lies in if she's in combat, she drains everything around her. So if she's in combat against all your infantry, you want to get rid of her as quickly as possible, and you've got quite a few options to do that. You can have White Kings on horseback are really good, because they can chase her down. And again, any big lord or anything you have can jump her relatively effectively.
She's not faster than a White King?
She's faster, but you can push her away from the fight. And if she's not in the fight, she's not, like, casting her, not draining your troops, basically. She's like a she is a Mortis, living Mortis engine, basically.
Yeah.
But of course, your opponent also has the chance of bringing something like King Leon Leoncoeur or Alberic, and they're big flying lords. They're not unbeatable in the air, but they can be a little bit rough. Particularly because King Leon Leoncoeur can heal himself, which is a bit of a pain in the butt. He has a regen.
Yeah.
Cool. I'm very much liking the build. So in the current game, after all the DLCs, I feel like ethereal units are a little less good because there's so much magic damage, but I think you've got the right idea here that before all these DLCs came out, there wasn't actually that many units which had magic or magical attacks, so I do like the Banshee is very good at assassinating enemy characters, although just very double check if your opponent's character has magic attacks, because they will beat the Banshee very quickly. They're very fragile. And I think some of the Bretonnian cavalry has magic attacks, like magical lances, some of the elite stuff. So as long as you get your Blood Knights on them instead of the Hex Wraiths, you'll be absolutely fine.
Yeah. All right, I guess I'm ready.
Yeah? Alright. Good luck. I'm going to disappear again and have a little chat with chat. Oh, by the way, I can hear you, by the way. I don't know how to, like, mute myself on Discord, so I can't hear you as well. But
okay.
So if you're ever in danger, just scream, ah! And I'll hear it. So,
all right.
Cool. I'll switch in a bit. Cool, guys. We are back. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in, by the way. I know these streams are a little less interactive because I can't chat you guys as much, but, you know, the focus is around teaching Dame, and I think she's doing really well. Oh yeah, this matchup was very interesting. Brett versus Vampire Counts. But imagine, so Bretonnia still have all of their tools that they have in the current meta. Vampire Counts are way more limited, which is quite interesting. Raptor, I will try my best to teach them. We're not allowed Morse Engines, Nick. Morse Engines are DLC. Raptor, I will attempt to get her to bring some Halberd units in. I'll be like, oh yeah, there's the secret ways of Raptor. He's like a sensei of the Halberd units in Total War. If you use them, he will empower you. He will empower you. So yeah, no Morse Engines is crazy. Imagine playing Vampire Counts without Morse Engines. It's wild. It's when I went to, I was like, okay, she wants to learn how to play Skaven. I'll go look at Skaven without DLCs. And I was like, holy crap, this is like completely different. What do I do? But I got a build for her that I'm going to like show her and see if she thinks it's kind of good fit for her build. It's very generic. Then she can kind of build on it from there. But it's just a load of chaff, double Hell Pit Abomination, and Lord Skrog, basically. And some Rat Ogres to counter cavalry. And it's certainly a lot of fun. Yeah, Mag, this is what I'm talking about. Like, I don't want Dame to get disheartened because she's losing games. She is currently playing players who play in tournaments and play a lot of multiplayer. So, as soon as she's up against the other contestants, I really do think she's going to start just stomping. I think she's really deadly. I know Mercy the Mad's been doing some good work as well in our group. I haven't seen any of, I believe, Darv's against us. I don't think I've seen his person yet, but I do generally think Dame's got a great chance of getting through to the finals. I really do. Yeah, Gorse's pretty popular Von Carstein here, but I would agree, like, you can go for a lot of different stuff. So here, for the forces of the legendary Capt Tellus up in the skies, we do indeed have the Royal Pegasus Knights, and they do magic attacks, so that's going to be very scary. Alberic does not do magic attacks. What about the rest of the cav? Magic attacks and magic attacks. Ooh, okay. Western Knights do not, so there's a lot of magic on the field right now that can hurt those Hex Wraiths, so they need to be very careful. Get the Blood Knights in this fight instead and support it with the infantry. Load of peasant mobs across the front line as to be expected. A load of peasant bowmen as well. And then we have halberds and spearmen on the back and flanks. We do have a Damsel of Life with Dwellers Below and Earthblood and Alberic up in the sky, coming in with all of his good buffs and so forth. So it's going to be some good fun. Hex Wraiths need to be very careful. Very, very careful. Otherwise they're just going to get deleted. Black Coach will be able to tear apart a decent chunk of the enemy range if they can force their way through, and I do think it's largely going to come down to, can the Blood Knights get the favorable engagements on the enemy cavalry early and then heal up, because the Blood Knights, their backs are going to be hurting by the end of this if it is going to be a vampire count victory. The Hex Wraiths just need to be very careful because there's so much magic damage on the field, and Bretonnia is one of the few factions, I think, which can bring this much magic damage without DLC stuff. Yeah, exactly, Nick. Like, Dar's been all quiet, man. He's been sneaky about it. He's training up his boyo. I think he actually might be training his brother, which is actually really cool. The Pegasus Knights are going to start flying forward. Hex Wraiths instantly decide to fall back, which is 100% the right play. They're one vastly outnumbered right now. You can see the Blood Knights are actually going to ride out to meet them, kind of Gandalf style, to fend off the Nazgul. Like, get back here, Hex Wraiths, we can help and protect you. And the rest of the forces are going to move back. It does look like Alberic has managed to spook her a little bit, but the Hex Wraiths may get caught here. Grail Knights are going to be lowering their lances and charging in. Hex Wraiths very quickly trying to retreat. Blood Knights may have to commit here and fight, but if they do so, they're so far away from the rest of their build. So the Hex Wraiths are going to be falling back. I think they are going to get trapped here, and now Alberic is going to go down and dirty. This is very scary, actually, though, for the Bretonians. The Blood Knights can jump him, and he has very limited ways of getting back up in the skies. Western Knights will be coming in to try to save him, but the fact that the Law of Life cast is so far away, Blood Knights might be able to actually win this engagement, but it looks like, unfortunately, the other Blood Knights have retreated. Hex Wraiths are going to commit to a fight against the Grail Knights, and the Pegasus Knights swoop down, and the cavalry is not going well. So this is kind of the only big problem Dame's having, is she fights with her army in like multiple parts. So if the cavalry had just stayed way closer to the main battle line, this isn't so much of a problem. But I understand wanting to get in there and try to save the Hex Wraiths as much as possible. So the Blood Knights are being surrounded and dragged down, and this is really bleak news right now because all the damage output from the vampire counts is just gone. It's just gone off the battlefield. So the Black Coach is going to start pushing in to the back. It can certainly do a bit of a number on the peasant bowman. The Banshee is going in there as well, and that is a lot of bow fire coming in right now. We do get an Invocation Heck, but it's simply going to get focused down, and the rest of the army is just not fighting in unison. So it's just not pushing up and getting involved in the combat. Lovely Invocation Heck, though, is going to be going down on the Black Coach, and the Banshee has gotten into the back line. Henrik Kemmler is going for a bit of a Leroy Jenkins approach and just charging directly in to take down the enemy. Black Coach is continuously bouncing and moving, but the archers, because there's no other targets for them to shoot now the knights are gone, can simply focus fire down as quickly as possible. And Hex Wraiths in the back do get run over by the Royal Pegasus Knights. Front line is going to emerge. The peasants, of course, shall not fare too well. Heinrich Kemmler is just yeeting in at this point, and I don't think there's any way back for the vampire counts. Kemmler's simply going to get assassinated. Now, we do get a lovely Krell summon. I do love to see Krell in action. He gets whacked back a little bit, and he is going to get not a hit in. Unfortunately, he's just going to vibe there. He's going to stand there and be like, Alberic, I'm going to see you in the afterlife, buddy, and when I do, it's on. So the Skeleton Spearmen and Skeleton Warriors are going to break through the front line, and they will meet the second line of Spearmen at Arms. Banshee is, taking some shots, but going to be absolutely fine. The one problem is going to be those knights coming over. We are going to see a rather nasty Dwellers Below coming in. A lovely dodge once again by Dame. So you do see the Dwellers Below come in, trying to catch all these troops out, and they are all able to dodge it. That's a very expensive spell, completely rendered useless. Krell's doing a decent job. He is fighting in the back line. Alberic is hunting down the Banshee. Not the worst target for the Banshee, but the Grail Knights coming in with that magic damage. Oh my god, look at that damage on the charge. They eviscerate the poor little Banshee. About half HP is being gone there. We're going to get a lovely little Earthblood go down as well, healing up these troops. Krell and Heinrich Kemmler going to be moving in. Now, we do see a zombie summon coming in behind the Grail Knights. This, again, is... we've seen this multiple times. from the last few games. Dame knows how to summon zombies in the back to pin enemy troops in place. Krell is fighting his heart out alongside the Banshee, and Heinrich Kemmler, Undeath Resurgence, is buffing them as well. So I like the timing there of that ability. I do have Skeleton Warriors pushing back against peasants and just kind of bumping and grinding, but there's so much cavalry around which can simply cycle charge and kind of drag down the enemy formation. So the peasant bowmen are going to continue to rain shots in on Heinrich Kemmler and Krell. Krell's up to 23 kills, which isn't bad. And I do love the zombie pick. So the zombie pick's been really good onto the Grail Knights. I'm going to write this down because I keep forgetting to give her the feedback. So zombie summons have been really good, as well as the dodges. The dodges and the zombie summons have been really nice in all the games, but it's just learning to fight as an army, fighting as one solid force. Now, Albrecht's taking a decent amount of damage. Skeleton Warriors and zombies are just grinding through their way through the chaff, but you can see on the flanks here, Questing Knights are really starting to hammer home with those Grail Knights and just overwhelm the undead spearmen there. So the Albrecht is doing a decent job. He's hacking his way through just a load of, I was about to say peasant mobs there. I mean, he probably is hunting down quite a few peasants. He doesn't consider them to be more than the zombies, and the zombies and Skeleton Warriors are being dealt with. Banshee is trying his best to hunt down Albrecht, but can't quite catch him, unfortunately. And Heinrich Kemmler and Krell are going to start to struggle as the Royal Pegasus Knights do swoop down into combat there. Albrecht is going to try to snipe the Banshee. Banshee's not really having any of it. Has been healed up quite nicely. The Grail Knights with their magic damage, though, are being a big problem. And once again, we're going to see another zombie summon come down to pin the cavalry in place. This is brilliant stuff. But alas, the loss of the cavalry in the early game was basically what cost the battle. Unfortunately. It's just, yeah, it's literally like half your army just gone, right? And from that point onwards, there's not much you can do. There's a lot of positives from what she did with the rest of her army. But by the time she lost the cavalry, it was going to be a struggle. Albrecht is a very cool guy, I would agree. Nick, I don't think it's worth doing those type of things until you have a basic understanding of the game. I don't know, like, obviously how... Because, like, everyone's going to be starting at different points, remember? Like, some people are going to be experienced with the game, some aren't at all. No one's going to be that experienced with multiplayer. But if they come from an RTS background, which I think is what... I think Darwin and Tiffany are both looking for people who had played RTS games before. They'll get those mechanics way easier. Because Dame already knows how to pin stuff in and rear attack it. We saw it in the last game, and we already know that she knows how to dodge as well. So she kind of knows the majority of the elite mechanics. It's just learning to fight as an army, I think. Albrecht, 1.8k. The magic damage is just what crushed it. Like, so much magic damage. 1.4, 1.9, 1.7 damage value here on the Grail Knights, as well as the Royal Pegasus Knights. Questing Knights got 1.2. The Hex Wraiths, just basically no value, and the Blood Knights committed to try to save them, and it just wasn't enough. It wasn't enough, didn't have enough cavalry, and had to kind of pull back there to the infantry. So, GG's. Good luck with the rest of your games, awesome. So up next, we do have Mr. Vicious Kebab, if you'd like to hop in, and we'll rotate the map around again to Doc Graz. Yo, yo, yo.
Hello.
How are you? Yeah, that one was a bit more rough. Because it was basically over at, like, the beginning, unfortunately, with, like, the cavalry engagement on the right-hand side. You did get quite unlucky again, which is annoying. Up against Bretonia is one of the very few factions, actually, I think, where they can build a decent amount of magic attacks without, like, their DLC stuff. So over half his knights had magic attacks, the Pegasus Knights had magic attacks, and your Hex Wraiths were basically just dead, which kind of sucked, because that's a lot of money out the window. The only way you really could have prevented that is you don't actually have to deploy your cavalry, like, that far away from your main force. You can just keep the cavalry, like, right next to your army. Because it's these maps, I think all the maps today, actually, the ones that are going to be in the tournament, are relatively big. So if you have a little look at your opponent's build, okay, there's nothing that can threaten my cavalry, then you move them out to the flanks. You just keep them nice and close, and all of a sudden his knights can't jump you because you have so much infantry around you as well.
Yeah.
Though, like, obviously, it probably feels pretty bad, because it was, like, that was quite, like, harsh from Tellus. He managed to, like, to catch those troops out really quickly. There were some two really good things, which I've forgotten to mention you've done in previous battles, and I want you to keep doing them, because though they've not been working, like, super well, they are really good, which is your dodging is ridiculously good for someone who's not played multiplayer. So when your opponent has popped an over effect spell or popped like a any kind of bombardment spell, you've always been really good at dodging them. And something else you're doing is you're summoning zombies behind cavalry to pin them in place, which is not something I've seen like any new player do. So that's really good as well. Just keep popping zombies behind cavalry, and it will pin them in there as well. Let me just message Vicious Kebab. So I just received a load of messages. Message Kebab. So, on a level of 1 to 10, how much do you hate me so far?
Oh, I don't.
Not yet? Okay. Yeah, I'm gonna keep sending more people your way. But yeah, so we got a guy called Vicious Kebab playing, who again I've seen play tournaments. We then have someone called Grombrindle, who is probably the top 3 dwarf players in the world right now.
Okay.
But then after that, we're playing against someone called Archangel, who says they haven't played too much and they want to play Bretonia. So I think that'd be a really good test to see if you can get some revenge. And then afterwards, after that, you'll get the chance to beat someone up from Creative Assembly.
Okay.
Which is really cool. Yeah, Nick, we've already done that, bud. We have already done that. So, you've had a little go of the vampire counts, and your Lizardman is honestly, you don't need too much work on that. You can still play it if you want to get even better at it. But do you want to stick with the counts for this one, or do you want to mix it up to either, you know, your Lizardman, your Skaven, or your High Elves?
Well, I've been kind of holding off on the Skaven because I was curious about that thing you were talking about.
Oh, cool. Cool. So, after this game then, I'll stream my point of view and I'll show you a replay of a game I had. For a build that I think you'll be really good with. Or like, I don't want you to copy the build, but the style of play I want you to try to like emulate basically. And just put your own spin on it. Okay, no worries. So Vicious Kebab says he's going to be like a couple of minutes, so we'll just do that now, and then we'll hop in with the next person. So,
okay.
I'm going to go hop out of this lobby super quick, and then stream my point of view to you.
Okay.
So you can see this. So hopefully you can... Oh, house. Where's... It's not letting me stream my point of view to you for some reason. Oh, how's it doing this? Hang on. This is really weird. It won't let me stream Total War to you, apparently.
I mean, I've got your stream open. I can watch there.
Yeah, the problem is there's like a slight delay on my stream.
Yeah.
This is so bizarre. How? So let me just try. I'm gonna mess around on Total War and see if it like picks it up and registers it. Picking up like everything but Total War for some reason. Well, I can share my OBS screen with you, and then hopefully you'll be able to see what's going on from there, if you want to give that a go.
Okay.
Cool. So fingers crossed you can see my OBS screen.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. So, this is a game I had up against Empire, with the forces of Skaven, and the reason I picked this Skaven build, it has no DLC units in it at all, and it's basically the same way that you play Lizardmen.
Mm-hmm.
In the fact that, you know, you liked your big 2 Stegodons, and you had, like, a couple of units which could, like, flank. You had Pterodons and Razordons and stuff, and then a big, long, front-wide unit of infantry.
Mm-hmm.
So, here we load in. So, the basic overview of this type of build is we're going for a little bit of a threat overload with the monstrous infantry, and almost everyone is going to expect Skaven to sit back and defend. But actually, without the DLC units, they're not that great at doing that because they only really have their artillery, right? And artillery can get shut down in a multitude of ways. You slip up once and some dogs get in your back line, they're gone. And your opponent might also outshoot you. So we have a load of chaff, which we don't really care about. We have clan rats in the middle, and we've got our cheaper units on the flank, which are the Skaven slaves. And these guys are just sacrificial lambs to the slaughter because a lot of people like to pick cavalry on the wing because they can flank your enemy. So if they're crushing your flanks and it's Skaven slaves, you just don't care, like at all. And if they don't crush them, they can then get in behind the enemy formation as well. We've then got a couple of rat ogres on the flanks just to help counterpunch cavalry. And a note in general for Skaven with rat ogres, they like to charge Finns. They do not like to be charged by anything. So if cavalry charge your rat ogres, they're going to lose. But if you charge the cavalry, you tend to do pretty good. And then we've got 2 Hell Pit Abominations and Lord Skrulk. And I've taught you before about, like, often you can put all your heavy hitters on one side, and that can work well as well. But something that's as durable as a Hell Pit, and it's, like, partially supported, you can split your large creatures to do 2 different sections. And this means your opponent has to commit which way is he going to go. If he tries to defend over this side, you whack him with your Hell Pit on the left. And then, because I know you love your Vanguard troops, which I think is actually going to be really good in this tournament in general, because people don't expect them. They've got a couple of Death Runners just in the back to harass the enemy. So I do have 1 Warp Lightning Cannon, which is a kind of roll of the dice. It's not going to outtrade an Empire Cannon. If my opponent doesn't have one, I can sit back and wait for him to come to me and get the Death Runners in a better position. But if, like this situation, there's no chance of this Warp Cannon winning, it's not too big of an investment. I don't have that many cannons, and I can just let it shoot, let my opponent get distracted by it, and just advance up a little bit. And the main thing here, against my opponent's build, just like you with your Lizardmen, I need to look at what can kill my Hell Pit Abominations. So the infantry is just going to die to Hell Pits, basically, for the most part. Cavalry, not going to do too much to Hell Pits. It's not going to be terrible. The things I have to worry about is Boris Todbringer up in the sky, and then these cannons and archers. They're the main thing I want to kill. So, just for that job, I've got Death Runners. I'm kind of stalling my advance. I'm like falling back and advancing a little bit, just to buy time for these guys to actually get into position. And my opponent's going to do the correct thing here, and just start slamming into my Skaven slaves. So we can force them back with Hell Pits. If we lose a unit, we don't care. It's nothing. My opponent's Lord is doing nothing. He's killing a cannon, which actually isn't going to be worth anything because my opponent can outtrade it. And then when the front line actually does hit, that's when we jump in with our Death Runners. So they've now started to jump in. We could have attacked earlier, but if we did, he could pull his Knights back and protect. Because we waited to our front line hit, all of a sudden he can pull them back, and then the Hell Pit's jumping in. And we're just going to start killing all these archers. I'm not that worried about the front line. We can chuck our chaff against his chaff. It doesn't matter at all. All the Rat Ogres, all the Death Runners, all the Hell Pits are all just aiming for all of this backline goodness. We want to shut down all of these archers. Now, if he does commit a unit of cavalry back to protect, that is just 1 unit of cavalry, and we can easily, very quickly just hop on it with all our large monsters and our Rat Ogres and kind of finish it off. But still, I'm just constantly moving on to these archers. My opponent's actually doing a really good job. He's kind of running away with his artillery crews, running away with his archers, and the rest of this battlefield, all on this side, is now just completely dominated by us. Because he's had to move all his cavalry, his lords, to deal with this big problem he's having. And while that's happening, we have this little Hell Pit Abomination, which can kill the entire half of our opponent's build while he's distracted. One thing to note is Lord Skrulk is very squishy, though, so I'm trying to keep him near Hell Pits where possible, as well as Rat Ogres, just because they're good bodyguards. So if you have a squishy lord, a caster lord, like you had with Heinrich Kemmler, keeping someone near him can be really nice. And basically, as this battle goes now, I've killed the majority of the knights. All the archers are running, or he's only got like 1 unit of archers firing. All his cannons are running away, so I'm super comfortable. The only thing you have to do in a late game like this is not throw it away. And the only way I can really throw this away, or let my opponent have any way back in, is if I let Lord Skrulk die. Because there's nothing left on the field which can kill 2 Hell Pit Abominations. What I'm going to do is we spread out initially with our Hell Pits, and now we're bringing them back together just to defend Lord Skrulk. And it doesn't matter how long it takes from now on to win the battle. I know it's 1, as long as Lord Skrulk doesn't get killed. My opponent's trying his best. He's like fireball spamming him with the Bright Wizard. But you've got really good dodges, so to be honest, it's not that big of a problem. And we just chase off the units. He's going to try to scrap his way back in the game as much as possible. But with the double hell pits, it's only a matter of time, really, before he has to commit with, like, his lord or something. Because we're simply faster than the archers, and we can chase them down and break them, basically. So it's, yeah, just like your Lizmen. You've got a couple of key targets that if you protect, you can win the game. So you just have to initially figure out what's good against them. In this case, the archers and the cannons, and you just go all out on them to try and finish them off. The rest of your build, you can either swarm the enemy, or you can just sacrifice it against the enemy front line and just kind of like pin them in place, basically. Oh no, Raptor, did you get rid of the Slanesh bots? You did. Perfect, perfect. So yeah, it's... I feel like playing this style of Skaven, like really aggressive, suits you a lot more than the traditional Skaven style of play. And I also think it's going to catch a lot of people out. If you do go like aggressive with them. But you get the fun units as well. Like, you've got really good play with Vanguarded Pterodons and Razor and stuff before, like Flyers. But you can do kind of a cheaper knockoff version with the Death Runners to help take down enemy range. Because even when designing this build against Empire, if I think of the Empire roster and what can kill Hell Pit Abominations, it is basically their range for the most part. I mean, you got Karl Franz and stuff, but it's mainly their range. So then you can bring in some units to attack range and just go really nice and wide all round. So do you want to have a go kind of creating your own super aggressive Skaven build, and we'll try that in the next one?
Sure.
Yeah, awesome. Cool. I'll reopen the lobby. And I think if Kebab's not ready, it won't be too useful against Grombrindle if he's going to go Dwarf. I wouldn't recommend that necessarily against Dwarf, but
yeah,
we'll try it either in this game against Kebab if he's ready, or we'll try against Archangel in the game after.
Okay.
Because normally Skaven's really good against Dwarfs, but I actually think if you're going to go Skaven in this, it might be quite hard to actually face Dwarfs. Just because of miners and they've got a load of armor. You can try Doom Wheels and stuff, so there's possibilities. Cool. So I'll send you an invite, and then I'll see if Vicious Kebab is ready yet. Okay. I'll message Angel and see if they want coming, so I think that would be a good one to try your Skaven tactics on. Find him somewhere. Cool. I'll give him a couple of minutes to see if he responds, but you feel free to start like designing a build of your choice. Cool. Looks like they are ready to rumble.
Okay.
Chat's just like, more Doom Wheels. More Doom Wheels. Doom Wheels are very cool. You can use them very similar to how you use your black coaches. And they can do some good work. Hey, here they are. Oh god, if you ever run into a guy called King of the Dead, by the way, he tries giving you advice, just pretend like you don't hear him.
Okay.
There's a guy in my chat, he's actually really lovely, he just likes to troll quite a bit. I think his name's Jeff KOTD right now. So I think your opponent really wanted to try out Bretonia, so you can try Skaven into them if you'd like. Again, their main threat to you realistically is going to be cavalry. But but it depends what the cavalry is really, really attacking, obviously. So yeah, Hellbits could be good here, because they can obviously take down the cav relatively well, as long as they don't get isolated and kind of fight on their own here. Main threat to them as well will be stuff like archers. So much like in the Empire game, if you can shut down the archers, your cav should be relatively fine.
Mm-hmm.
I like the gutter runner pick as well. Oh, yeah, I like that quite a bit. Because the good news for you, compared to something like Empire, is you know he doesn't have access to cannons. The best artillery he's going to have is a trebuchet or something. Which you do not. If your opponent's got a trebuchet here, you're great. Because it's meant to kill infantry, and all your infantry is worthless. It's just like, you know, blocks of Skaven slaves. So I like including one piece of artillery just to force them in. And yeah, as long as your rat ogres and your hell pits don't fight alone, if they kind of fight together against cavalry, you'll have a pretty decent chance, I think.
All right.
Awesome. Cool. I'm going to abandon you once more to the wolves.
Okay.
And I'll be back in a little bit.
All right.
Cool. We've muted her, and we'll hop in. I'm excited to see how this goes. I really think she's got a lot of potential in this matchup if they can deal with the knights, which the Hell Pit can do if supported. So this is going to be a big test, because Dame's biggest weakness is when she fights her troops isolated. But if she can fight with the Rat Ogres and the Hell Pits at the same time against the cavalry, she should be fine. Now, her opponent's going pretty hard. We got a Fey Paladin trio, which disgusting. But it can certainly get jumped. It can certainly get jumped. 6 to 8 Peasant Archers can carry, indeed. Indeed. Although, with the Plague Claw Catapult, it does counter them a little bit as well. I've been thinking, what would a new player going to do against 10 Saurus Warriors or Biggins? Nothing really. I mean, it depends. You can shoot them, you can kite them. Dame's very new, but her skills are very good, so she knows how to kite. In fact, in one of our first games, she was just playing full skirmish. So that can certainly outdo the Lizardmen. We haven't practiced that much against Lizardmen. But again, yeah, Saurus will die to things like Hellpits if they are not supported. But of course, you have Chameleon Skinks, you have Javelins, and a load of different things which can help out. I'm keeping my eyes on you, King of Dead, as well. I know what's up. I see you. Yeah, Archer spam. Just mass Archer spam. Load of Cav, Cycle Charge. It's basically the way to play Bretonnia. Like, this is a pretty standard Bretonnia build, to be honest. And we have a load of Knights of the Realm who are anti-large, which is quite problematic. So we have 4 units of them. But if Dame can take down the Peasant Bowmen with the Gutter Runners, then she'd be in a decent spot. I mean, Quick Headtaker will carve up the Fey Enchantress like nothing. Nothing. So for the Britannia forces, we do have Battle Pilgrims mixed in with Peasant Mobs to make up like the main battle line here. We also have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 archers, so a decent chunk of archers which need to be killed, as they will kill the Hell Pit Abomination. We then have 1, 2, I believe 3 and 4 units of Knights of the Realm, who are decent. They got the anti-large, but again, double Hell Pit on them, plus the support of Raus will kill them. And then we have the really nasty double Paladin and Fey Enchantress. Now, she's not invincible. She's a big pain in the butt. I actually don't think she's great here, because the main point of her is that drain mechanic. That's not really going to be that handy. But I'd love to see what she uses the Plague Claw Catapult on. If she focuses down the Peasant Bowman, it's going to be juicy. It's going to be juicy for sure. What's up, Phoenix King? How's it going? How's it going? Yeah, you can kite Saurus Warriors, Nick. It doesn't matter about the HP. You don't just kite with range. You fall back and you just cycle charge them with cavalry or chariots. Like, Saurus Warriors hate chariots. They hate them. You can kill an infinite amount of Saurus with line chariots. The Plague Claw Catapult is going to be left behind. So I think this is from my previous game where I advanced, leaving my cannon back. But in this instance, she does have the range advantage. So she actually wants to sit back and protect this Plague Claw catapult rather than advance in here, I think. But hey, that's going to be like a tough learning curve, because now the cavalry can simply swoop up and around and kill the Plague Claw catapult. Because my Warp Lightning Cannon in the game I showed her is not important. In this one, this is very important. So she's going to be launching shots up and over and actually targeting down the Knights of the Realm, doing some pretty decent damage. I think the Peasant Bowmen are a bigger threat to them. Hellpit Abominations are going to be going balls deep. We also have some summons from the Plague Priest which can come in, but they need to keep pushing through and not get bogged down with this front line. And yeah, that Plague Claw catapult is going to get shut down by the Knights of the Realm, but it does at least distract them. And in comes the Hellpit Abomination jumping on top of the Peasants. Gutter Runners are desperately trying to catch up. Now, the Peasant Bowmen are being shut down. Knights of the Realm are struggling up against the Hellpit Abomination, but you can see a load of archers are going to be fighting that. If she had waited back with the catapult, these Gut Runners would be in position now, but she's still pushing through, jumped on top of the Peasant Bowmen, they're forced back, Knights of Realm are forced back, with a summon of Plague Monks as well, as the Peasant Bowmen catch a Plague shot to the face, and all was coming up trumps so far, but the Hero Core, once again, is a little bit problematic, as we can see, the Enchantress and the Paladins doing a decent job here up against the Rat Ogres. They are getting pinned in place, and we do have a Hellpit Abomination fight in here, so pretty scary stuff. Peasant Bowmen are being forced back. This unit here, I would take these Rat Ogres and chase off these Peasant Bowmen. There's 3 units for the price of 1. 3! That's so good. Now, the Plague Claw catapult has been shut down. It did do some decent damage. She's got all eyes on Faye right now, really trying to shut down Faye as much as possible. The Hellpit Abomination is struggling to connect, though, and Quick Head Taker is a little bit slow on the ground, so he's not actually getting over there and doing much work. And now her main battle line is falling apart, so she cleaned up the back line, but a lot of units she used to clean it up are like, summons, and they're going to disappear, and the Peasant Bowmen will return. Lovely use from the Gutter Runners, though. They're going to kill this unit of Knights of the Realm. Beautiful stuff. They need to get over here now and support and get nice and aggressive. Quick Head Taker as well needs to start killing Paladins. He needs to kill Paladins or kill Faye. Both the Hellpits are relatively healthy, and they did get rid of the Archers, but they didn't kill them. The Archers are returned to the battlefield, and that is the main counter we have today for these Hellpit Abominations. The Enchantress is getting beaten up pretty bad right now. Quick Head Taker has gotten her. Trophy Heads goes down, and she may get assassinated. Oh god, she's pinned in place. The Hellpit Abomination is unable to land a blow despite the Trophy Heads going down, and it looks like she is going to be able to escape, which is really bad news here for the Skaven. Despite this, she's in a relatively decent position. If she can kill these Knights of the Realm and kill the Archers are the threat. The infantry, it's nothing. It ain't nothing but a thing. The Enchantress is so close to death, but she's going to be getting the regrowth. No, she's not. The Fey Enchantress does indeed die, and that is going to put this battle well and truly in the hands of DameOffensive and the Skaven Hordes. The Peasant Bowmen are running for their lives. Paladins can fall back all they want. They cannot kill Quick Head Taker, and now she just needs to remember, don't get too excited. You've won the battle in a way, but you need to kill what can kill the remainder of your troops. The Peasant Bowmen, they have to die. If the Peasant Bowmen die, there's nothing to kill double Hellpits here, supported by Queek in particular, because the Paladins won't be able to hunt them down. But currently, the Peasant Bowmen are unleashing shot after shot into the Hellpits, doing some really nice work. Now, the Gutter Runners or the Rat Ogres need to go over there and finish these guys off, because there's so much damage coming in on the Hellpit Abomination. It has regen, so that fire damage is really hurting. We do see those Skaven Slaves starting to drive back some of the Archers. That is what I like to see. However, Knights of the Realm are quickly on their way to help support where possible. And if the Hellpits get too beat up, they could be in for a bit of trouble against those Knights in the later stages of the game. Now, Gutter Runners are focusing down the Paladins. Not a bad target, the fact that they don't have any healing anymore. And the Knights of the Realm are instantly going to come in to try to block in the Skaven forces. And the Hellpits are starting to get a little bit danger low now. A little bit danger low. We do get a Clan Rat summon, which is going to help box in the Knights of the Realm. And she's decided to try to punch her way through them, which at this point, she doesn't really have much of a chance. She has to punch her way through them. And it looks like she is doing just that, starting to break them. Peasant Bowmen are being hunted down by this summon. Love to see this. Use those summons to force back the Archers. If they're not shooting, they're not useful. Paladins are being whittled down by the Gut Runners, who likewise Knights of Realm are going to hunt them, but if they focus those Knights, they should be able to get them off the field really quickly. A load of the Skaven forces are starting to break though, and is it a little bit too little too late with hunting down the Peasant Bowmen? Once again, they're going to be able to rally and come back here, which is really scary. It looks like the Plague Claw Catapult crew is actually back online. They need to start turning and just shooting the Bowmen, shoot anything with them, and it's going to be a fantastic time. Hellpit Abomination's doing a decent job here. We do also have Quick Head Taker coming with a summon, and he's going to go after the Paladins. If he stays on his feet, he'll be absolutely beautiful here. And it looks like he does, and that Paladin takes a massive Dwarf Gouger straight to the eye. Peasant Bowmen are continuing to rain in shots. I'd love to see these Skaven Slaves go after them right now because they've done an absolute whipping on the Hell Pit Abomination so far. But down goes a Paladin, and the Plague Claw Catapult is back on its artillery piece, shooting at the peasants and driving them from the field. Balance power is going more and more in favor of the Skaven as the Paladins flee before the might of the Hell Pit Abominations. Yes, yes, stab, stab, kill, kill, keep going. If this momentum keeps going, the Skaven will be unstoppable. We can see Gutter Runners starting to hunt down the Peasant Bowmen. Other units are shattering from the field, and army losses is looking very, very close right now. We have some Skaven Slaves who are returning back to the battlefield. Hell Pits, as well as the Plague Priests, are going after the Peasant Bowmen. We do have Knights of Realm returning to the field, but there is still 2 Hell Pit Abominations left, and they pack quite the punch as they countercharge the Knights, dragging them down from their steeds into the dirt and mud, spitting Warpstone acid into their mouths and making them explode in great puffs of magical dust. The fact the Plague Claw Catapult was rearmed is very impressive, and now it's shooting shots in, finishing off the Holy Wardens, finishing off the Battle Pilgrims, and the Paladins can try and rally, but what can man do up against so much yes, yes? The Peasant Bowmen are being hunted down by Gutter Runners. I love to see it. They've used up the majority of the ammunition. Well played with the Skirmish Cav. And the other unit is going to start chasing down those archers, which is a really good play right now. The Plague Claw Catapult is trying to beat back the infantry where possible. You can see the Bretonnians, they're trying to fall back, trying to find some way of rallying right now. But the entire time this is happening, the Hell Pits are regenerating HP. So the longer the game goes on, the better for the Skaven right now. And it looks like that Paladin is indeed going to break. We even get a celebratory little kind of kick in the ribs there for the Bretonnian forces. And the Skaven are indeed victorious. They're victorious! Dame Offensive, taking heads and, no, taking names as well at the same time. Dame, very well played. Very well played. First win of the stream today. And up against, this is a pretty standard-ish Bretonnian-style build that can be used in many cases. Well played Archangel as well. He has played Moi player before, I believe, but not a super amount. So it was a kind of a good test to see where Dame's skill level currently was. Going up against other players who are relatively new but have a bit more experience than her in multiplayer, and she did really good. So, quick head taker, 848 damage value. Decent at just killing Fae and killing Paladins, honestly. Not terrible whatsoever. I do think combining this into Lord Scrog maybe is more effective, but, you know, it still did the job. 1.2k on the Plague Priest. Skaven Slaves didn't do much, but that's what they were born to do. Gutter Runners 800 value, 700 value. The Ogres 1.3k, 800, 1.1, 1.6 on the Hell Pit Abominations, and that Plague Claw Catapult play was really nice. Well played though to Angel anyway, did a really good job as well. The Hero Quarters couldn't get involved too much because of the Hell Pits. Those Archers nearly won the day though. The Archers, 1,100 damage value. The others did kind of struggle a little bit. And yeah, the Knights did okay, but nothing too fantastic at the end of the day. GG's. GG's indeed. Yeah, Question Knights might have just been a bit too expensive for this matchup. Yeah, we're going to try and get Grom Brindle in now if he's watching, and then we get Vicious Kebab in after that as well. But let's go back and celebrate with Dame. Well, let's stop streaming my screen to her. Yo!
Hi.
Victory!
Yeah.
That was so well played. That was very, very well played. So, again, you did all the right things. You saw instantly, hey, look, these Peasant Bowmen are a threat. I'm just going to jump them. And you pushed through and hunted them down and finished them off really nicely. There was only really... catch you later, Wicked D, by the way. Thank you for linking Dame's channel earlier on the chat. There was only one mistake you made, which if you didn't make, you would have won the battle like 3-4 minutes earlier. It didn't matter that much, but in the game I showed you before, where I abandoned my artillery piece and like pushed forward, the reason I did that decision is because I knew it was already dead, because my opponent had 2 cannons. Whereas in this situation, you could have actually sat back a little while. Though you've got an aggressive build, you could sit back, force him to come even closer to you, so he can't bring knights and kill that. And it also buys a little bit more time for your Gutter Runners to get into position. Because they're a little bit, obviously, like, slow getting to the bowmen to shut them down. But yeah, honestly, I have, apart from that, and that's really nitpicky, is like, oh, hey, you could have, you know, sat back a bit more. But every time you saw the Peasant Bowmen, you were hunting them down. You gooned Faye, which is lovely, because she's a big pain in the butt. And you jumped on her as soon as you had the opportunity, and she was separated from her forces. You kind of went for them. So really lovely work there. And to celebrate, you're going to get to kill some stunties, which is quite cool. We're going to go up against Grombrindle next. He's a very scary player to face. Very talented player. So it's going to be a good test of your skill, I think. and he loves all things dwarfs. So this is going to be a bit of a grudge match, I think. So he did
Okay.
watch the last stream, and he heard that you said you didn't like dwarfs. So he has written you into the book.
Yeah,
Unfortunately.
yeah.
So I'm just saying, like, there's a little bit more spice to this battle maybe than the normal one. Let's drop him a quick message and hop him in. From Bindle, you are up there. Cool. And then after that, we'll face Vicious Kebab.
Okay.
And then it depends. I don't know if Nathan will be free by then. We'll see. But we can always get a couple of people from chat to come play you as well. You've kind of blitzed through these games quite quickly. Let's fight him. But I may also hop in and play against you. I'm not sure. But we might just grab some more people from chat because, like, being able to watch you play is quite good, and then just give little bits of feedback as well. And hopefully it's a little bit less, less pressure than if I'm talking during the battle. I think might obviously be a bit distracting and stuff.
Yeah.
Chat's like, how can you not like the dwarf? Dwarfs are one of these factions in multiplayer where half the community loves them and half the community absolutely despises them. So you're not alone in your hatred of dwarfs.
Yeah.
And just for that, I'm gonna move to Crack. It was Ungor? Yeah, Crack Ungor. So we even fight on a dwarvish map.
Okay.
Hey, Gromby. By the way, when I said Grombrindle was very scary, he's actually like one of the loveliest people you'll meet. He's a really nice guy. He's just a very scary player.
All right.
Yes, Nick. Tonight the Skaven Ratlins will be eaten. Yeah, they killed many a peasant. Cool. So, which faction do you want to play up against the dwarfs anyway? You did give it a go before, I believe, with Lizardmen. Which was relatively close. But do you want to stick with Skaven or do you want to try something else?
I think I'll try the Skaven.
Yeah, go for it. Go for it. Sorry, Window in the chats just said at the outset, I would like to say that the dwarves are the best.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like I generally liked what I had, and I know the dwarfs have like better guns.
So,
but
yeah, so all around, obviously, each time you play a game, you basically have to kind of reevaluate your builds depending on the faction. So Hell Pit Abominations against dwarfs will probably be less useful than they were against the Force of Bretonia, because as you said, there's guns, there's also slayers, but if you can keep them alive, they'll still do the same job. So it's really up to you if you want to try something new or try that and see how it fares against dwarfs. And if it doesn't work, you can keep that build for when you face Bretonia, and then we can come up with a new one for when you face dwarfs. Because the main thing about dwarfs is they have a load of armor, relatively low melee attack, but really high melee defense, so they don't dish out too much damage in melee. They got their guns through that for them, so you need to shut down those guns again. As far as Skaven, really good tools for you. Death Runners are amazing because I believe they sunder armor, I think, and at AP, and your opponent can't shoot them, so they're a little bit squishy, but if you can get them into the back lines, they're really good. Artillery wise, nowadays is really good for Skaven because you get Warlock Jezzails and stuff. But without DLC units, it's probably actually not that good to try to outshoot the dwarfs, I don't think. Because you only have Warp Lightning Cannons and Plague Claw Catapult. So yeah, maybe rushing them might be the way. I think this is actually quite a bad matchup for Skaven in this format with the no DLCs. But yeah, you've got a quick head taker will kill any Dwarf Lord. He's absolutely fine doing that. The Hell Pits will kill all the infantry. It's as long as you kill the guns, basically.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna... also let him know that he can't bring DLC stuff. I don't think he has. Let me check. I can actually see. Yeah, he hasn't. Perfect. So I think people are allowed to use Thoric Ironbrow because he's a free legendary lord. He is, if you do face dwarfs in the tournament, he is almost 100% who they're going to bring. If their trainers have told them to bring anyone, it'll be him. He is far and away the best dwarf lord. He's very tanky. You cast spells near him, you take damage, and he buffs all his troops, and Dowie troops are already quite good. But someone like Queek Headtaker, don't be scared to chuck them in against him, because they will eventually drag him down. But he's way tougher than you think he is, annoyingly. He, tanks for a long time. Thank you so much, Raptor, as well, for linking Dame's channel. Yeah, for anyone who doesn't know, Dame is actually a Total War Warhammer YouTuber. And I'm gonna put it out there. The best campaign YouTuber. I'm not just saying that because she's my people. So make sure to go check her out. And also, you have one of the best videos out currently, which was the it's so good. I was showing my housemates. I showed my housemate who doesn't even know Total War, and they loved it. So let the chat go and discover what that one is. Yeah, Nick makes a good point. If you are going to try to outshoot dwarfs in this matchup, there are some pretty crazy strategies you can do where you bring like 2 to 3 warp lightning cannons and 2 to 3 plague claw catapults. And then but the job is then trying to protect them, and you have to kind of protect them with summons and stuff, so it might be a little bit tricky to use. So maybe go for this first, and we might be able to try that out after. That is also a good shout.
Well, I think the plague claw catapults outrange them, right?
Or outrange cannons. It doesn't let me get my tooltip up. This mode. I'm on this.
I might
mode.
be used to having a warlock engineer in there.
Have a little look. Yeah, range on a plague claw catapult is 400. And range on a Dowie cannon, which is the most likely piece of artillery you're going to see. It's just the best one, is 440, so the cannon's actually outranked. Okay. So, with this build, the one plague claw catapult is very risky, because normally bringing one artillery like this is a good risk, but against dwarfs, there's a very good chance they're going to bring cannons or something. So it's a very risky risk, but it could pay off. I mean, if he doesn't have cannons, the plague claw catapult's going to do a lot of damage, but if he does, it's going to do very little. Oh, house. Oh no, it looks like one of my mods. I've got these weird bots which keep appearing in my chat. I don't know if they do it to yours as well.
Yeah, they do.
So, Phoenix King, I would disagree heavily. He's saying dwarfs don't need micro. You need to be able to counter-initiate a ton with dwarfs because you're so slow. Oh, sorry. Someone was asking if you can bring a certain unit, which you can. Awesome. Cool. I'm going to disappear again. Okay. So, best of luck.
Thank you.
This is going to be an interesting fight. This is going to be interesting. I don't think the hell pits are going to be the way to go against dwarves. Just too much melee defense. But we'll see. Yeah, normally people ban Skaven versus dwarves. I generally think in this format, dwarves is really bad for Skaven. Unless, yeah, you go like a mass range like Nick suggested, where you bring like 3 warp lightning cannons and 2 plague claw catapults. It's certainly a good strategy, but it's a lot to protect. And if the dwarf player rushes, you just... Well, maybe... I don't know. It might be worth a try. We can try it out maybe next battle. Yeah, you're not allowed to use DLC. You can use anything free. So basically, the rule of thumb for this tournament, because some people playing this tournament didn't own Total War. So, you know, they don't want to force them to spend a load of money on DLCs and stuff. It's a bit unfair on those who already have it and those who don't. The way we've done it is you can play base game 1, base game 2 factions, and Bretonnia, because they were free, and any free units, any free lords is fine. But no DLC stuff, nothing from any DLC. And most of the Regiment Renowns, apart from for Bretonnia, I think actually all the Regiment Renowns apart from Bretonnia in this tournament came with DLC, so we don't have to worry about them at all. Yeah, you're right. So the Rangers, they can't bring, but like 5 Miners, 5 Dwarf Warriors, 5 Longbeards, they can rush you a little bit, but that is certainly something we can try out, is going the complete polar opposite and going mass range. But Dame is a very offensive player, as her name would suggest, Dame Offensive. So let's get rid of that bot again. Thank you so much to my mods, by the way, for dealing with these bots so far. They've been right on it today. Report. Cool. Hopefully the bots have been diffused there and gone. It's a very similar build we saw from Dame previously. She's going to be taking a defensive approach with the Plague Claw Catapult. We then have Skaven Slaves. We have the Hell Pit Abominations plus the Plague Priest. So cannons are going to be really nasty against this. And the Dwarfs are doing what Dwarfs do, which is forming a little box. So we have 2 Slayers on top of the cannons. We then have Ironbreakers. We've got 2 Ironbreakers, 3 Ironbreakers. So 3 Ironbreakers, double Longbeards, Thunderers in the center with Grombrindle. And he doesn't have Flash Bomb, which is always funny seeing Grombrindle without Flash Bomb. He will get his arse absolutely beat by Quick Head Taker. We'll have to wait and see. So Dame's very quickly going to have to realize she has to sacrifice her artillery and just get in here. Best way to do this is going to move a lot of the chaff, the crap, just round the flanks, and use that to jump on top of the Slayers and whack the front with the Hell Pit Abominations, most likely. But it's going to become a big blob fight. I don't know why there's so many bots today, Raptor. There's so many, but thank you for, like, catching them. The bots for the win. No, Lindsay! No! Dad! No bots. Yeah, Quarrelers, Slayers, Miners Rush is kind of the way to go. Yeah, the arty spam would be, like, amazing against this, but against, like, the majority of Dwarf builds, I feel like it's a very risky build. We'll have to see. Good luck. Awesome, awesome. Yeah, they're going to have to push forward, and unfortunately, the cannons are going to have to rip into the Hell Pit Abominations and the Plague Priest. But the good news for Dame here is the most likely situation is he's going to have to use his cannons to focus down the Plague Claw Catapult really quickly. We do have the double Death Runners in the back, which is going to be really nice, actually. Like, normally you don't mind them facing Slayers, but realistically here, you want the Slayers, like, pulled out of position, fighting chaff, then you get the Death Runners on them. But these cannons are going to do some really nasty work. The Hell Pit's taking some damage. They do have regeneration, so it's not the end of the world. And if he wants to shoot the Hell Pits, that's fine. He's not shooting the Plague Claw Catapult. And it can still just kind of trundle forwards and do some damage. Lovely juking as well by Damien. Something she's really mastered already is moving these single entities around to dodge these rather nasty cannon shots. Death Runners are going to have their work cut out. If they get hit by blasting charges, it's going to be a bad day. If she can force Grombrindle to use those blasting charges on Skaven Slaves and Clan Rats and stuff, then, you know, they're going to be much less of a problem. What's up, Bradley? How's it going? Grimdall Ward as well. Hope you guys are all good today. We're teaching Dame how to play. It looks like the Dwarfs are actually focused down the Plague Priest, which is a really good shout, due to the fact that it's the caster. So again, that caster offline's nice. Longbeards get hit by a really nasty Plague Claw Catapult shot. Looks like the cannons are now going to switch targets to them, but they have missed a little bit. So the Death Runners are moving into position. It looks like they're going to try to crack this Longbeard flank, which isn't the worst situation. The Plague Priest doesn't want to be anywhere near these guns is the problem. Hell Pit Abominations are going to come in, and once they connect... So Dame is now holding back with the Death Runners, waiting for the Slayers to commit to the fight against the Hell Pits. Then she's going to jump. That's a really good sign. She's picking up what we kind of told her about previously, but they have been spotted, so Grombrindle might not go for this. Hell Pits are driving hard into the enemy battle line. Plague Priest is suffering quite badly, but the Plague Claw Catapults are doing some decent damage. Now, the Slayers are going to push out. It is going to be a 2v1 fight. Death Runners will carve them apart, but it might take them a decent amount of time. Hell Pit Abominations are now well and truly on top of the Thunderers, with some Plague Monk summons as well. Now, the Ironbreakers will hold for an eternity. Plague Priest needs to get out of here. There's just no need to fight. Fall back and save your healing as much as possible. Death Runners against Slayers just isn't the best target for them. I mean, you can leave one-on-one and then move the others up and around and start shutting down those cannons, because the cannons are the main threat right now for the Hell Pit Abominations. You can see Quick Head Taker going directly after Grombrindle right now, which is a good pick. Quick with the buffs and debuffs will slap the living snot out of Grombrindle, and the mighty White Dwarf is running in terror of the Rat Boy. Now, the Ironbreakers are quite comfortably winning that front line. The cannons are still both firing. The Death Runners are slowly carving their way through the enemy, but it's taking them quite some time. And now we do have the fight with the Grombrindle has no fear, and Runax of Grombrindle. He's actually hitting back against Quick relatively hard. Trophy Heads does go down, and it's going to be a little bit of RNG focus now. Plague Priest is moving in, and the Hell Pit Abomination does explode one of the cannons, though there are some Slayers nearby for support. They're being blown up by friendly fire, as well as a few Death Runners in their midst as well. Quick Head Taker is doing his best up against Grombrindle, and now his buffs have run off. Queek should have an absolute whale of a time. I think Grombrindle's getting a little lucky here on the RNG, because Queek would normally slap the living snot out of him, but if that Hell Pit Abomination was there to support, it would have been GG's for Gromby, although I think his army is still in a really solid position. Plagueclaw Catapult is quite happily free-firing in to the Ironbreakers right now, but with Queek going down and the army kind of routing in all directions, it's looking a little tiny bit rough. The Hell Pit Abomination is going to be able to finish off the cannons, but Slayers will be surrounding it and dragging it down. I actually didn't mind the Hell Pits here. They applied a lot of pressure and forced their way into the back line, but coming in with them plus the Plague Priest was a lot of big targets for the Dwarves to shoot, and Dwarves love big targets to drag down. GG's though, it was a nice display of actually hopping in and fighting together. Yeah, like backseat gaming, guys. So obviously these guys are brand new as well, so don't be too harsh obviously on the Lady Dame. What up, Ducks? What up, what up? We did miss you. I was actually crying for a while. I hope your meeting went well, by the way. I don't know if it was a business meeting. So Queek got 1.1k damage value, Gromby 1.4, so relatively evenish trade there. The double Hell Pits didn't get that much work done, unfortunately, and that's simply because they shut down the Thunderers, and then there was a load of Slayers, and then there's a load of Ironbreakers, and there wasn't that much in this build which could kill the Ironbreakers, apart from the Plagueclaw Catapult, which can be a little rough. And obviously the Grombrindle hiding in his little dwarf hole, 890 damage value with the cannons, 1.6k, was a little bit scary. So I think what we might do is try like the mass artillery approach, maybe in the same matchup. Yeah, the Slayers did good work, and Grombrindle did as well. GG's. Cool. Let's hop back into chat. I'm gonna have a little sip of my drink. Oh yeah, it's gotta be Chad Grombrindle always. Oh yeah. Gromby be scary, man, for sure. Yo, yo, yo.
Hi.
You've met the dreaded dwarf box. The dreaded dwarf box. It's horrible to face it. It's horrible. Well played though. Grombrindle is honestly one of, like, he wins a lot of tournaments and stuff, so he's a very scary player. One thing you did super well, that I'm assuming was deliberate here, is you were trying to get his Slayers to commit to the main fight and then get your Death Runners in. You were kind of like holding back and waiting. Before jumping in, which was really the right thing to do, and I think it would have worked, but they went a little bit close at one point, so their hidden position was revealed. So then he knew, and then he kept the Slayers back there. But I like that. That was really quite nice. And you also got the Hell Pits onto the Thunderers, which was also quite good. Unfortunately, he did bring double cannon, which is a little bit scary, and he decided to ignore the Plagueclaw Catapult, which is you know, certainly something he can do, and then he focused down your caster, which is the Plague Priest. Yeah. And then it was a little bit of a struggle from that point onwards. But what do you think you struggled with there, and what did you feel like, you know, went well, and what did bad, and so forth?
Well, I feel like Queek couldn't do what he needed to do. I don't know. What? I did the ability for the Lord.
Oh,
First
you got
of all,
so
he wouldn't,
unlucky.
he wouldn't target it for a while. And
Yeah.
when I could finally target it, he just didn't do anything.
Yeah, the one when you attack Grombrindle, he saved all his like defensive stuff, like his abilities, and he popped them like last second when that fight happened. We did zoom in on a while, and yeah, you got very unlucky at the RNG. Like, you should have killed Grombrindle. I don't think it would have like made you win the battle, but I think you still got very unlucky that he didn't go down there. It's my army I played 3 years ago, said Grombrindle. It can certainly work. So again, if we had gone with the complete opposite approach, so you kind of went all in on the big monsters, which can work. Unfortunately, Ironbreakers are quite a problem because they have such high melee defense. Large creatures struggle to hit them. So you probably want to focus them down with the Plagueclaw Catapult rather than the Longbeards, just to get some like damage down. Oh, I completely lost my train of thought now. But yeah, you did a good job like hunting down the Thunderers. It was just then there was the Slayers, and then there was a little bit more and so on. So we could try the complete opposite approach, which is try to go mass range against the Dwarves. Which isn't necessarily as suited to your playstyle, but going like 3 Warp Lightning Cannons and like 2 Plagueclaw Catapults, but it's just finding ways to protect them in that case. And then if the Dwarves go rush, then, you know, it's that kind of flip of a coin, sadly. But I'm trying to think of all the other factions in the game at this point that you can face. Dwarfs actually might be one of the hardest for Skaven. Because you were kind of fine against Bretonia. Lizard men, you can do kind of similar tactics as well. Against most of them, you'll be fine. Yeah, I think dwarves might be a little struggle, at least with that playstyle. It looks like Grombrand was trying to convince you to play dwarves, by the way. I don't know if his charm has worked. No? No? Cool. I'm going to message Fisher Satsuma. Cool. I'll let him pop in. And then we'll get him going. But yeah, that style of approach, I think, is going to do you pretty good in most matchups. The dwarf one is just something that's going to be a little bit scary for it. We can either ban dwarfs if it gets to that point, or we can try you going like super defensive with it. But it depends what the teachers are kind of teaching their players to play. Because Nick makes a good point of, hey, not many newer players play Dwarf Rush, but I think with the teachers we have teaching people, a lot of them will, because it's actually quite a bit better than going defensive, like 9 times out of 10. We're up against Vicious Kebab here. Again, he's a clan member of CC3, so he's a competitive player. It might be a little bit rough, but give it a go and see how it goes.
Right.
Do you want to stick with the Skaven, or do you want to move on to kind of like your High Elves or your Lizardmen?
I guess I'll go back to Lizardmen.
Yeah.
Give that a go.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess probably just ban High Elves again.
Yeah, sure. If you don't like playing the High Elves, that's a decent ban. Other factions I think you could struggle up against with Lizmen, like Dark Elves are a possibility as well, just because they have so much AP. It's kind of that range problem that you were having before as well. Skaven is normally not great, but in this, it might not be terrible. Because you've got like a lot of terror and stuff and kind of drive them away. But let's see what Vicious Kebab's going to do. So he is going to be going Dark Elves. Cool. So you tried the Lord Croak Gorok tactic earlier, and you had Chameleon Skinks whipping around the flanks, which is good. But again, in that situation, the Chameleon Skinks kind of needed a little bit of cavalry support to help them. So against the Dark Elves, it might be worth going with a decent amount of cav to counter his cavalry, and then your Saurus should be able to win the majority of their infantry fights. So you could try going something like cav heavy. Again, it's aggressive and it kind of suits your style of play. You just got to be a little bit wary of that long range missile power. I'll switch the map actually back to Raz. Which is a relatively big map. Cool. Liking the build so far. Again, it's kind of a relatively simple build on the fact of, hey, if we can kill all the range, we'll be fine. The range you will most likely face is either in the form of Dark Shards, which is like the infantry stuff, so you might want some stuff to get in the back line to beat them down, and Dark Riders, which are going to be the big problem, but of course you do have nets and that kind of stuff. But Chameleon Skinks can also force them off relatively well, as long as there's cavalry nearby to kind of countercharge anything if they're trying to charge you.
Alright.
The Phoenix King in chat is very upset that you banned High Elves, by the way. Means he doesn't get to see his favorite. Awesome. Oh, once again, I'm going to abandon you. Best of luck.
Okay.
And
Thanks.
I will speak to you afterwards.
Okay.
Cool. So in we go. I think it's a relatively solid build. Not so sure about the Croc score. And their role in this. But they can be used to counter cavalry. So if the Croc score fight alongside the Cold One Knights, they will be able to overwhelm the Cold One Dread Knights. Were Cold One Dread Knights non-DLC? Or were they DLC? I don't actually know. I feel like they were base game. I think they came with the base game. Well, you guys chat about Larry best girl, Marathi best girl. You're all wrong. You're all wrong. Zlak best girl. Come on. Sort your priorities out. Phoenix King says he needs to play a game against Dame so he can bring back the coolest faction in the game. Yeah, sure, man. If you want to play Lizardmen, feel free, man. You can play Lizardmen on stream. It's all good. Players have been going pretty try-hard here as well. It looks like you guys are scared. Everyone's going quite try-hard against Dame. Dread Knights are base game? Yeah, I thought so. They kind of remind me of like the wannabe horned ones. Kind of of the universe. So Dame's got this like lovely pairing of Skink Chief and Lord Mazdamundi, and I don't hate it whatsoever. Brings decent long range, and that bow is actually going to slaughter cavalry if it gets the shots off. So we've got a couple of Croc scores, a couple of units of cav, the big hitters, a load of Skink cohorts, and a load of Saurus warriors. Once again, we've kind of got this weird staggered formation with the Saurus just behind. It's not terrible. And the cavalry has been pinned in a little bit more. I think she's got a little bit of PTSD from that cavalry fights earlier on, which is fine. They can then push out once they realize there's no threat, or there is threat this time in the form of the Cold One Knights. As for the Dark Elves, they're going to go super defensive. They're going to be bringing in double bolt throws once more to try to whittle down Mazdamundi and the Stego. We then have a load of Dread Spears. We have the Witch Elves, which can do some really nice kind of poison, rampage those large creatures. We have Malekith up in the skies with the Soul Sealer and Gaze of Malice. And we have Cold One Dread Knights, so double Cold One Dread Knights and some Dark Riders on the flanks. A couple of units of Dark Shards in that central pocket. Should be good fun. The Skinks are going to have to wiggle their way through the front line and start applying pressure to the Dark Shards because the cavalry alone isn't going to be enough. Whilst the Saurus kill the Dread Spears and then move on to the rest. Now, the double bolt throw is really rough for the two large dinos. They can attempt to juke where possible. And if they can, net Malekith, they might be able to jump them. What spells did Dame bring? We have Apotheosis and Net. Cool. Perfect spells. Now, the Ruination and Banishment, if they can go down on the Dark Shards or the Witch Elves, is going to be really nice value as well. Yes, yes. Zlak is a girl? I mean, I don't know. I haven't checked, personally. Yeah, Zach transcends beyond such simple constraints as gender. See, this is why you guys need to go check out Mick Rightface's YouTube channel, because he's got a way with words. He has a way with words. Try mushrooms for that PTSD? Oh god, yeah. So, the big Bodon doesn't really want to tussle with the bolt throws, but if they can get those bow shots on the Dread Knights, it's so good at killing cav models, because it kills multiple at a time, and it kills models, it doesn't just, like, injure them, so the bow can do good work. But there's a decent threat overload here, with the Skink Chief, Mazdamundi, plus the Croxagore for the bolt throw to really focus fire down. Lots of shots are going to be coming in, and Maz is going to start juking as soon as those bolts come in, which is really good top tier play there. So the Skinks are going to have to, wiggle their way through onto the Dark Shards. Even if they get jumped by the Dread Knights, it's just good to apply that pressure, force those Dark Shards back, and stop them fighting at all costs. Cold One Cavalry is waiting in the wings. Now, Cold One Spear Riders will lose to the Dread Knights. Again, lovely little bit of juking. Better juking than me, honestly. I forget this, and I'm just like, oh, you know what? Screw it. Hit me. I don't care. I'll just move forward. I'm like, I heal it. I heal it. Zlak is the gender, that is true. You are a Zlak. So the Glorious Dread Spears are holding firm. Still beautiful juking. The bolt throws might want to switch to the Croxagores because... Oh no, then all of a sudden, bam, just as I say that, 4 hits in a row do catch on that Stegodon, which is a little bit unlucky there. Still not too much damage taken so far. We do, of course, have Apotheosis. Banishments coming down on Dark Shards is going to be really nice, but likewise, if the Cold One Dread Knights pin in the large creatures, just banish them, ruination them. It will do just as much damage. So the Skinks are actually going to start trying to move away and go circumvent the Dread Spears. They do get caught a little bit here. Dark Shards are opening shots up now on to the Skink cohorts, and the bolt throws are actually focused down the Croxagore. Not a bad idea whatsoever. The Skinks do manage to apply pressure to the Dark Shards. We do have Cold One Dread Knights coming in to countercharge them, but there's a lot of Skinks pushing through, plus the Skink Chief now is getting down and dirty doing the business. Croxagore is going to continue to push up. Saurus Warriors as well, looking to engage with the enemy in. Lord Mazdamundi is moving over. He needs to stay next to this other Skink Chief because Malekith can pop down and bring the pain to this Skinky. So a Shield of the Old Ones, anything right now to support the Skink Chief would be fantastic because it's really going to suffer. We do get an Apotheosis, which is nice, but we need support, which is a little bit kind of lacking there. Shield of the Old Ones goes down, as well as Slippery, which is really nice. After that melee defense, the 56 has kept him in the fight. And all of a sudden, Malekith gets ramrodded by Zlak, who says, "No, sirree, not today. You back down, you peasant of the elvish kind." And he runs in sheer terror of Mazdamundi. We do get a net pin in place as well. And Zlak is going to get yet another big rear attack down on him. And he may well go down here. A lot of pressure is still being applied by the Cold and Spear Eyes in the back, which is at least driving back the rear bolt throws and the Dark Shards. And they're actually force pathing their way past the Dread Knights onto the Dark Shards. Lovely play there by Dame. Now, Malekith is taking an absolute slaughtering right now. The double Stegodons are bringing the pain to his bouquet. Down to 3,000 HP. Mazdamundi does get distracted, though, as does the Skink Chief. And this is really important to note. You have to keep clicking on your opponent there. Croc scores are floating around. I'd love to see them come over and also pin in Malekith. Banishment does go down on some chaff, does some damage to Witch Elves and Dread Spears, and the Cold and Spear Eyes will kill the Dark Riders in the distance. Still a very close game, but now a lot of the cavalry is gone from the Lizardmen, and they weren't able to get rid of the Dark Shards, though the Saurus Warriors are certainly starting to work on it. Malekith get up in the skies is a bit of a disaster because now Soul Sealer is going to come down, and the Soul Sealer is going to eat Lord Mazdamundi, it's going to eat the Skink Chief, it's going to eat the Croxagore, and all these juicy targets. Now, it looks like they're coming to try to save Lord Mazdamundi where possible. The Dread Knights are surrounding him and trying to drag him down. We may get a breath attack. I'd love to see a breath attack from the Dark Elves now onto Mazdamundi, and that's just what they're going to do, and it does connect relatively well, doing some pretty damn good damage. Now, the Skink Chief, as well as the Croc Squad, are trying to deal with the Cold Dread Knights, but there's a decent amount of them left. In the distance, we have Cold and Spear Riders chasing back the Dark Riders, and we do have the return of some Spear Riders. Going to hop on top of the Bolt Throwers and shut it down. Skinks just a little bit lacking, need to be moving up once again. Dread Knights, just with their 120 armor and massive melee defense, will be absolutely fine up against Stegodons, unless the Stegodons are cycle charging. And it looks like Malekith was very tempted to come in and dive down as well. It does look like the bolt throws were first off. It was a very close game again. It kind of came down to, like, we're going to throw all our marbles at Malekith and try and kill him, and because he survived, it's just GG's. But imagine if Malekith's down now and you have both these guys a lot more healthy than this, jumping around the battlefield. The Dark Elves are simply done for. Cold and Spear Riders aren't quite able to catch up with the Dread Spears, or the Dread Spears will be catching up with them instead. And I think with Mazdamundi gone, there's not too much hope, unfortunately, for the Dark Elves, or for the Lizardmen to come back into this. A lovely bolt does go into the back of Malekith's dragon, trying to drag him down, but he's able to stabilize there. 3,100 HP. He did get some nice heals. He has healed about 1,100 HP so far. Lord Mazdamundi goes down, and I think it is unfortunately going to be armor losses. Dragons actually are scared of dinosaurs because they all got forced out of Lustria by the Dread Saurian. It chased them down and was like, dragons ain't nothing. Ain't nothing but a thing. Well played to Vicious Kebab. Well played to Dame Offensive. Again, another competitive build coming in by the Dark Elf player. 2k damage value on the Dread Knights. 1.1 on the second unit. Bolt throws didn't do that great. I mean, 990 damage value is solid, but 209. The Dark Riders got simply slaughtered. The Dark Shards, a load of pressure was applied to them. It really was, like, in that Skink Chief isolated for a while was a bit of a problem. 1.8k there on Malekith, and basically throwing all the marbles into assassinating him, and it didn't quite come out. I think the Croc Skulls, if they had managed to pin him in, might have also worked relatively well as well. Not a bad effort at all, but we'll pop back out and speak to Dame about it. They didn't nerf it because they fixed the bug of it shooting twice. What's that? If you're talking about, like, spells and stuff, yeah. They fixed the double shoot spell and the Skink Oracle. Although the Skink Oracle, I mean, it is a nerf technically as well. It is a pretty big nerf, but it's been fixed, so it's meant to be like that. Awesome. I think Nathan might want to hop in. So let's get Nathan in next, and then we get Archangel in, and we might close the stream out there. So we'll have another 2 competitors, I think, at least. You want to hop in now? Let's go back to Dame. Yo, yo, yo.
Hello.
Hello, hello. Good effort there. Just so you know, basically everyone who's played you so far has been bringing tournament builds. So they've been bringing, like, the hardest stuff and going pretty hard. And that was still pretty close. You basically threw everything to kill Malekith, and it didn't quite pay off. If you'd killed Malekith there, you basically win the game, because your Dreadsaurons can push through everything and just run over all your enemy, and you'd be absolutely fine. So it was a gamble. You could have either let Malekith go and then jump and kill the Dark Shards, who could apply a lot of pressure to you, or you could go and try and kill Malekith, and it just didn't quite pay off. But apart from that, you're relatively decent again. You got into the Dark Shards. The Dark Shards, if you took a look at them, basically got no damage value for the whole battle. The Bolt Throwers, even though they outranged you, I think only one paid for itself. It just came down to the fact that Malekith was able to escape. And the only thing you really could have done to pin him in more was you had some Croxagors who were like on the flank he was trying to escape, and you could run in and kind of like jump on top of him, basically. But again, that's like a super meta build you've just faced, so at least you kind of know what to look for next time in it. And you did a good job as well. Sneak. I love the little sneak in the skinks into the back line, because even if the Dread Knights are going to punish them and kind of like jump on them, you're still forcing his archers back. The only problem was when you saw the Dread Knights, not that much in your army is good against them. You have the bow on the back of the Stegodon actually does a ton of damage to knights. For some reason, it's way better against cavalry than it is infantry. You can shoot them, but obviously, because of the bolt throwers, that kind of option was taken from you. So the next thing to do is when you either net them to pin them in place, or when they're fighting your Stegodons, you basically have to use your banishments and ruinations on them. Use the banishment on some chaff, which is really good because it clears out the chaff. They weren't that much of a threat to your dinosaurs. So if you drop those banishments instead on the Dread Knights and got rid of them, then all of a sudden your opponent has nothing which can pin in your cav, and you kind of have a bit more free reign. But good news for you is now it's your chance to beat up someone who works for Creative Assembly and get revenge for them putting Dowie in the game. So you're going to be up against Nathan. He's a very cool dude. And he's a surprise. He's just hopped in the lobby. Yo! So again, feel free to pick a faction and ban a faction and go with whatever you fancy.
Okay. I don't know. I guess I'll stick with lizards and keep banning high elves.
Yeah. You really hate the high elves. We can play.
I just feel like I've got a better chance
of
taking things out with everything else. Like even the Dawi, at least I can catch them.
Yeah. So if high elves are just like their chitin potential.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. It's asking if there's a faction you want to try Lizman against. Whatever's missile heavy. Okay, we've done a decent amount against dwarves though. I mean, maybe. I know he likes Skaven, so we can give him one of his favorite factions. So vampires, yeah. It should be good fun though. But even from just the first training session, you're already doing way more things like correct than you were before. It's just I've been a little bit mean today and chucked you in against a load of tournament players. Because I do think the best way to learn it is, to face people who are really good at the game, because then you can pick up on what they do, and then kind of adopt that style as well. And tomorrow will be a little bit more the same, but we're also going to start thinking about picks and bans, and which factions you want to pick, which factions you want to ban. Talk about the maps a little bit more as well, see which ones can favor you, and we'll like solidify some solid builds that you're comfortable with. Cool. So Skaven, again, when like thinking about your build, what are Skaven good at, and how do you counter what Skaven are good at?
I mean, without the DLC, they don't really have, other than the Hell Pit Abomination, there's not much that can deal with my monsters.
So, deal with your monsters, they have artillery in the Warp Lightning cannon. So, I know you loved your what are they named? Ripidactyls. You could try bringing some pterodons. Now, this is a little bit micro-intensive, but you're quite comfortable with the micro. Is if you line up their rock drop on top of an artillery piece, it does devastating damage. Like, devastating. It's really good. And if you're going to deploy pterodons, particularly in this newer player tournament, I would deploy them behind the enemy at all if you can. So a lot of people won't check behind them for vanguarded troops. And you might just be able to sneak in and kind of float over. The only problem is if your opponent's got gutter runners and stuff protecting them, run away. Fall back and bide your time to jump in.
Yeah.
Because pterodons are very, very squishy to anything kind of like cheap range, basically. Yeah, apart from more lining cannons, you should be relatively decent against almost all his ground forces. You do have Hell Pit Abominations, which will actually do pretty good up against a Stegodon. Because they will hit you quite a bit. So they could be a threat. Ways you can take them down, you can bring cavalry, you can bring chameleon skinks as well, and just blowpipe them to death, because they don't have much armor at all. And you've also got rat ogres who might be able to pin you in place, which could be nasty. Oh, I'm liking Nathan's build as well, actually. Very nice. I'm liking this quite a bit. So I think the main thing here is with your chameleon skinks, you don't really want to move them necessarily up and around the flanks, because if they get into enemy back line, I mean, your pterodons are kind of already doing that job for you. The main thing you want these guys to do is to shoot hell pits and to shoot rat ogres, because they can counter your large dinosaurs, but they have very little armor. So you don't want to get in a situation where your Stegodons, unless you can 2v1 a hell pit, you don't really want to be getting in a situation where they're fighting each other.
Yeah.
And yes, Samurai Warrior, Nathan is indeed our Nathan Duck. Nick is suggesting a 20 stack of skinks, which is good in the current meta, but without DLC, you don't really need to get into the enemy back line as much. So I like your build. Looks pretty good. You feeling confident?
No.
Don't worry. It's as soon as you start playing, it's one of those weird things. But as soon as you start playing in the tournament, I feel like you're gonna feel really great because you're against everyone obviously who's in the same boat as well, where they've like just picked up the multiplayer.
Yeah.
Is there a faction you're slightly more comfortable with so far out of the ones you've kind of learned of? Skaven, Lizardmen, Vampire Counts. Those are kind of the ones we've gone over the most.
It just kind of depends what I'm going against, I guess.
Oh, I think Nathan's relatively... Let's talk about that. Oh no, okay, he's taken it out. There's a unit he wasn't allowed to bring. Let's see when he's ready. He's saying he's really indecisive. I am liking his build though. It's certainly got some teeth. And it's kind of cool to note that obviously he's going to be playing with non-DLC units as well. So if you like his build against Lizardmen, if someone picks Lizardmen against you, you can adopt his build if it's something you think does well, basically. And likewise, since everyone you've played today, if you think someone, you're just like, oh, I have no idea how I could counter this, you can steal their builds. Like, it's something people do in multiplayer all the time.
Yeah.
Oh no, he's got a zero god build. Oh, I feel that's always a moral victory of your opponent if you can get to a zero god build.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, I shall abandon you to the chatter and Skaven. Best of luck.
Okay. Thank you.
And we'll hop in. Yeah, I saw you saying earlier, King, you wanted to face Dame. You might be a little bit too much of a pro player. She's played like, I don't know now, like 4 hours of multiplayer maybe. And you said you play unorthodox, which is good normally to learn against unorthodox people. But remember, everyone playing today is being trained by like other streamers and stuff. So they might kind of nudge people in the direction of going a little bit meta. We'll have to wait and see. It depends obviously on which trainer does what. I know Logic's doing something very similar to this, just trying to let his person kind of pick the builds, nudge him and say, hey, like these might be good, try them out. If you don't like them, try something completely different and new. But yeah, today's stream, I'm not fighting anyone. It's literally just about Dame today, and we try to get in as much practice as possible. We've only got 3 training sessions overall, which is kind of crazy, obviously, to get ready for the tournament on Saturday and Sunday, which you guys can check out. I'm going to be casting it. I'm going to be live on CA channels. Think of the terror. Think of the terror we can cause. I'm going to be yelling quack all over the time. It's going to be absolutely mental. It's going to be over on Total War Live. Like, they've got like 2 YouTube channels, like the main one and then Total War Live, where they do like all their live streams, and on their official Twitch, which is pretty damn exciting. It does look like the Lizardmen are ignoring the advice of Obi-Wan Kenobi and taking the low ground instead. We have a load of skink cohorts dotted all the way along. We also have triple Saurus warriors. Chameleon skinks been used defensively for now, which I like. They can push forward if need be, but again, they only here to kill rat ogres and hell pits. There's not much else they're going to be shooting at on the Skaven roster. We have a little skink chief down here as well, coming in with Slippery and Pterodons up in the skies. And I believe they're the Foliage Bowler variety, which I don't mind at all. A lot of people don't like them. They think they're not worth the extra cost. They get rid of so much infantry. They're going to do a number over on these Death Runners. Now, there is no artillery today for the Skaven forces. We have a bucket ton of chaff. We have Skaven slaves all on the front line. We then have a load more Skaven slaves and clan rats in the secondary line, backed up by double Death Runners and double Gutter Runners. Those Gutter Runners are going to bring a lot of long-range pressure to the Lizardmen forces. We also have double Hell Pit Abomination. We have a Chieftain. Oh, hell yeah. The Chieftain's an FLC. What a pick here. So we do have the Chieftain. I believe he's anti-large. That could come in quite handy. And he gives Guardian. And then we have a Gracier of Plague coming in here with the Warpstone Scroll. We have Pestilent Breath and the Dread 13th spell. So really looking to pin in those large dinosaurs and drag them down. We also have an Assassin on this flank. So the Skink Chief and Mazdamundi need to be really careful. Very, very careful. Banishments and Ruinations should most likely go down on the Death Runners, or just if they get trapped. And these Hell Pit Abominations are going to be trouble. They're going to be trouble, particularly as well if the Dreaded 13th spell does catch them unawares. However, the Skinks and Saurus, the triple Saurus, is going to do so good here if they don't fight the Death Runners. That's going to kill all this infantry. They don't care. They don't care if they're outnumbered. It ain't nothing but a number. It ain't nothing but a number. Yeah, Terror Routes also could be very important. Are these guys hidden right now? Because they're on the low... They are. Oh, this is hilarious. This is hilarious. The entire Lizardman army's hidden. Oh, that's so good. That's so good. He's like, what? Is it a full Chameleon Skink build? Same, good luck, have fun day, and rhyming genius over here. It is true, actually, that Nathan is also a rapper. I don't know if people know that. He's a rapper. I believe his real name's 50 Cent or something. It's something along those lines. I can't remember. So the Skinks army pushing up. Unfortunately, though, the sneakiness was to obviously avoid kind of having like lightning cannons and stuff shot at them. But now they're going to have to fight uphill, which isn't what they want. So I'd actually retreat back here. There's no long-range pressure coming onto them. And now we have that pesky little assassin and the gutter runners shooting the pterodons. And this is like the one thing they don't really want to face. So I love this. Just fly away. Fly away. These guys are wasted out here. You can now fly over here and start bombarding all these troops. We're going to have such a weird battle fighting on the slope now. Now, the Skink Chief can do some long-range damage to these single entities. The Pterodons just need to use their mobility. Ignore the Gut Runners. They were not worth your time. Come over here and jump the Death Runners. We are going to see a bit of a flank overload with the heavy boys hitting the left-hand side. And now the Skinks are going to have to force their way up the hill. Chameleons are moving around to the right. And now I don't hate this. She's not protecting them, but there's nothing to really protect them against, apart from chaff, which could be problematic. Now, the Skink Chief, as well as Mazdamundi, are just going to start pushing through the Skaven slaves, looking to get into the back line, but actually they probably want to fight the front here, because they don't want to go in there against the Hell Pit Abominations. Pterodons have caught up. Saurus Warriors will be coming in to support the Skinks, who are doing a fine job up against the Skaven Slaves. And in comes the first Hell Pit Abomination. It is isolated and alone, not a bad target to jump. Chameleons, though, are out on the flank, and they are the main answer to these Hell Pits. They need to be back here right now, shooting. Looks like Dame does realize, and she's going to be pulling back her main forces. Pterodon Riders are still launching shots in, aiming at those Death Runners would be a glorious target. Lovely play there by the Plague Priest. A Shield of the Odd Ones does go down, and the Hell Pits are taking quite a lot of damage. Now remember, the Pterodons, though they are anti-infantry, do fire damage, so they're going to do pretty good up against the Hell Pits, and a lot of damage is coming in. However, we are getting the dreaded 13th spell. It'll be interesting to see if Dame notices this. It was underneath the Shield of the Old Ones. These big boys do not want to fight under the Storm Vermin. However, if they can kill this Hell Pit Abomination first, it'll be so good. They're trying their little hardest. Chameleons are shooting the back of a load of slaves right now, which isn't going to be the best for them. Saurus are starting to struggle. A lot of the infantry is just running for its life right now. You can see the Saurus Warriors are trying to pin the enemy in place, and Lord Mazdamundi and the Chieftain are giving their best go on this Hell Pit Abomination, but they found themselves isolated and alone. If the Chameleons had been shooting this Hell Pit, it'd be dead by now. So I think that's like the crucial mistake here so far, and now Mazdamundi is kind of getting welled on 2v1. We do see a nasty Rival High Talisman and Warpstone Scroll go down. The Rival High Talisman is now coming into effect, and Lord Mazdamundi needs to run. He can't really fight this. He's simply just getting absolutely hammered and beaten up. Needs to drop like a net maybe and run away. We are going to see a lovely, cheeky little banishment come down though on all the clan rats, just clearing out that chaff. Gets rid of a lot of them, does some damage to the Death Runners as well, so that is a nice catch. And the Chameleons are now hunting down the enemy skirmishers. And the poor Lord Mazdamundi, it's getting an apotheosis on him, and he is retreating backwards. The Skink Chief is also falling back. If we're going to see a net here as well, okay, this is beautiful. Look at this. A little net, pin all these guys in place, fall back, try to recover. We still have a load of Skinks in deep reserve who can come up to help. Saurus are starting to grind their way through the infantry, and the Pterodons continue to rain shots down on that Hell Pit. Of course, it does heal at the same time. Where's the other Pterodons? Is it just that one unit? Oh, yeah, the other one got forced off. That's a shame. They could have, like, 2v1'd it there. The Lord Mazdamundi is going to fall back. He's got plenty of time to heal up. A load of the Skaven units are breaking. The Chameleon Skinks are fighting the Gutter Runners, which is not the best trade for either of them, but it's kind of better for the Skaven right now, because those Chameleons are the only thing which can kill the Hell Pit, and this Hell Pit is still regenerating relatively quickly. It's down to 1,900 HP. We do have the long-range boat from the Skink Chief going in there doing some nice damage. And once again, it's a little tiny bit isolated from its friends, so the Chieftain is sticking nearby. Skink cohorts are pushing in on all fronts, and it looks like Lord Mazdamundi is considering fighting here. I believe he does have Ruination, which we haven't seen go down yet. Dropping it on the Death Runners would be nice. And that Hell Pit is starting to go down. 1,200 HP. Shield of the Old Ones is going to come down and collapse, but the big dinos are going to start retreating once more as the Pterodons try to finish the job. Chameleon Skinks in the side here are unleashing damage onto the Gutter Runners, doing pretty decent damage here. Pretty decent damage, peppering them down, and the Skinks can simply vibe right now. Saurus Warriors will push up and fight as well, and do some decent shots into them. It looks like the Chameleons will win that trade on the far side. Is there any way back in this for the Lizard Men? I just don't think with the full health Abomination there's any chance. Did the other one die? Is there a rotting carcass here? There is. So one Hell Pit Abomination down, but unfortunately at the cost of the life of Lord Mazdamundi. The Skink Chief has popped Slippery and is continuing to fight this. Not the worst with the support of the Pterodons, but there's an assassin, there's so much infantry here. It's a little bit rough for him all round. Now, the Chameleon Skinks are going to win the fight against the Gutter Runners, but it's not the fight they wanted to win. They kind of won the battle, but lost the war there. And GG's nonetheless. GG's nonetheless. Hope Dog is his name. There is a player called Dog in this tournament. What side are you... What faction are you most excited for DLC? Hobgoblins, Chaos Dwarfs, or Dogs of War? Probably Hobgoblins. I think they're going to be hilarious. But also Chaos Dwarfs. I mean, come on. So Mazdamundi, 1,000 damage value, 1,000 the Skink Chief. Just going up against the double Hell Pit was a little rough for them. And the Chameleons just couldn't get on top of the right targets. Lovely play of the Pterodons, though. They did some pretty decent work. The Saurus kind of bumped and grinded. They got a load of kills. 222, 73, 78. But it's all against kind of the lower tier chaff here. 1.3k on the Grey Seal of Plague. 570 from the Assassin. And the big Hell Pits, 1.4 and 1.4 damage value on them. They kind of carried the day. Nothing else did that much. It was really came down to controlling those main fights and the Storm Vermin. GG. But GG's for sure. Yeah, the map was kind of funny. Yeah, Dog is playing in the tournament. Dogs are, like, I actually played him on quick battles. I don't know if I told you, Nathan. I don't know if are you training him as well, or is it just like the other CA member? I think I'm allowed to say, I don't know why I wouldn't be able to say the name. CA Duck. Like, I know he's training. Dog, I don't know if you are as well. But I faced him on quick battles. He did really good. He did really good. I went a little bit like ham, because I'm like, hey, I'm one of the teachers. I can't lose to one of the students. So I went a little bit crazy, but it did go well. Yo, 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 Dame.
Hello.
Hello, hello, hello. So, what went well? What went badly?
I don't.
Also, you can take your time to think about it.
I mean, I kind of forgot my skinks for a little bit.
Mm-hmm. That's literally you've picked up directly what happened there. So the double hell pit abomination is gonna beat the double stegon when supported by, like, you know, his characters and everything else he had. And your best answer to them was the chameleon skinks. So the chameleon skinks tried kind of floating around the flank again on the right hand side. When they didn't really need to, they could have just stuck in the middle and then shot the hell pit abominations from behind your battle line. So you're using them more like traditional archers.
Yeah.
Because when you see like that there's no artillery pieces or anything like that to hop on, the chameleons don't really need to go around the flank because they're fighting at range. They're not going to be like rear attacking into the infantry anyway.
Yeah.
So I think just using them to shoot the hell pit abominations, because you did so much damage to one, but it just kept clinging on to life, and eventually you managed to kill it, but it kind of ended up costing Lord Mazdamundi. And one thing as well to note is, like, Lord Mazdamundi doesn't have to stay in a fight. He can't win. Like, he's surrounded by the halberds and he's fighting the hell pit abomination. Basically, Nathan went all in to try and assassinate him and dropped all his debuffs on him. You can just walk away. You can just walk away with Mazdamundi. There's no need to actually, like, fight him. And you can kind of just fall back and chill. But my favorite thing was the fact that at the start of the battle, your entire army was hidden. Which is very fun. Yeah, everything, like, down low, they can't actually see anyone.
Well, I figured if they had cannons, that would...
Yeah, no, it kind of... As well, like, you don't have to rush into the fight when you realize he doesn't have cannons. You could have pulled back your army and gone back onto the high ground. Because otherwise you ended up fighting uphill. So I like the idea of initially deploying down there, and when you're like, okay, he doesn't have any cannons, I'm actually going to go backwards a little bit, and then go up to the high ground, so we fight on, like, an even playing field. Would also, like, you know, be a little bit... Because obviously fighting uphill is not so nice for your troops, unfortunately. And yeah, Nath makes a good point. Like, once you realize, like, Skaven don't have that much fast cavalry because they don't have wolf rats yet in this game, you can kind of pit the chameleons a little bit ahead of your army, and start doing some nice early damage to the hell pits and stuff and whittling them down. Because Skaven don't have too much which can catch chameleon skinks. He has his rat ogres and, like, doom wheels and stuff. Oh, I'll just let him know. Thanks for playing. Cool. Thanks for playing, Nathan, if you are watching the live stream. And once again, guys, please... I'm actually going to try and do it in this live stream as well. If you guys can start chanting Nathan in chat, I'd really appreciate it. Because he's the main guy from Say who has been setting up this tournament. So just start chanting Nathan. Just start doing it. And go outside your window, start screaming his name. Start shouting at your parents to shout Nathan and walk away with no context. I'm sure he'll appreciate it. So, the Phoenix King has jumped in.
Okay.
He's a high elf player. He hates the dwarfs, so I think he's here to support you. And do you have time for, like, 2 more games, maybe?
Yeah.
You feeling? Oh, yeah, good to go 2 more. Cool. I'll set up your next game as well after this. Cool. Oh no, Phoenix King has left. Okay. I think he's just telling you to kite with Shadow Walkers, which we can try. You haven't tried High Elves today. If you want to try something new and a completely different style of play, feel free to go for it as well. You can try something like Shadow Warrior Kite. It does depend, obviously, against who your opponent is. So...
Yeah.
Cool. I'm just going to message Archangel again, because he wants to play again, see if we can get him in. Oh, big fat stretch. King Dead says, Nathan, you're a good man for doing more multiplayer stuff for the community. 100%. 100%. What's up, Geese Howard as well? Geese, if you want to hop in and have a game, let me know. Geese is a really cool dude. He does main Beastmen, so he'll be taken away from them. I'll shoot him a little message as well. I did tell Archangel he'd be on after this next game, because I thought Phoenix was going to play. Let's message Geese Howard. Yo. See if he's ready to go. And then we're close out with Archangel again. Oh no, Geesa says he's drinking at the moment, so probably not the best time for him to play. Cool. Let's message you. Cool, I think Geesa is going to drop in. He may be a little bit drunk, but I'm sure that'll help his micro. And then I think Phoenix also wants to give it a go afterwards. So whichever one gets here first, we'll play. Looks like Phoenix King. We'll get Geese Howard in after this game.
Okay.
Welcome. So Phoenix King does love to play as High Elves. He plays like a load of kite and stuff, which can be a little frustrating to play, but once you kind of master it, it can be really good as well. But obviously it depends on what kind of style you want to go for. Yeah, feel free to pick and ban whoever you want.
Right. Well, he can play the High Elves if he wants, and I'll play
You're too nice to him. And punish him.
I'll play the vampires.
Cool, so vampire counts up against high elves is really bad for vampire counts. We'll have to see what Phoenix King does, but basically if you're high elves in this situation, you get like triple Phoenix Guard. You sit them in a box, and they just kill everything the vampire counts have. But you do have a few counters to that. You have like breath attacks from dragons and stuff can be really useful. You can use Wind of Death as well, which is a very high risk, high reward spell.
Yeah.
And you can like try to cycle charge them down. But this is a really bad matchup for counts. I don't know how Phoenix is going to play it. But you can play it pretty evilly as well. Yeah, King, I'll try and get you into play as well. I don't know if we'll have time today, but if you're around tomorrow, we're doing the same thing tomorrow, so we can hop you in. Cool, cool. This is looking pretty good. It looks very similar to the other vampire count stuff you've tried before. So, Blood Knights should be able to beat back basically all their cavalry. The only exception to that is the Regiment Renowned Dragon Princes. You just gotta be a little bit careful with.
Yeah.
Actually, you can't bring them. What am I talking about? You can't bring Regiment Renowned because they're not base games. So you'll do absolutely fine against Dragon Princes, really. So you should be able to win the cavalry engagements really quite handily. And the other stuff you got to worry about, of course, high elves can go very fast mobility, which isn't something you can do too much about, sadly. You can just kind of... if you can't catch a ranged unit, you can just chuck cheap units in its direction, and they'll waste ammunition on, like, zombies. So it's kind of like you shield your own troops with some meat shields, basically. But yeah, as a rule of thumb, like old school vampire count players, True Blood Knights is very common tactic, and it is very good if you can heal them up. How much gold do you have left with this build, by the way?
11.
11, okay. I mean, it's a very cool build. Terrorgeist can do nice breath attacks as well. Cool Drown Princess should be able to kill anything. The only problem is if he has a dragon, it will be able to beat your Terrorgeist. Again, you've kind of spoken before, you have Gaze and the Gash and stuff to take that down, but and you've got healing as well, so it is possible to fight it, but if he has like a prince on a dragon, or Imric or someone, then you don't really want to fight him with the Terrorgeist. Well, they're not like super common picks, in fairness.
Right, I think I'm ready.
Awesome. I think he's still just figuring out his build. He's just kind of like switched over to a sub-faction. Don't worry about that too much. Cool, looks like he's ready to rumble. I'm going to abandon you once more, and I'll be back in a little bit.
Alright.
Cool, let's see how this goes. I'm quite happy Phoenix King isn't going for the Death Box or Phoenix Guard because it is so sad to watch. It's so sad. You're getting your wisdom teeth removed, King of the Dead. What? No, that's going to be so painful. Sorry, man. Well, actually, it depends. Are you in, like, private or are you going public? Like, in the UK, if you go public, it's going to hurt. If you go private, it'll be fine. England literally got conquered by Lord Sniping? What are you guys talking about? I mean, to a point, that's like what happens, right? Lords got sniped all the time. That's happened like through the generations. Like, you might as well just keep sniping Lords. But yeah, no, sniping Lords is a legit strategy, and that's why there's tanky Lords. I think if someone was complaining about leadership mechanic, it's kind of needed. Otherwise, like, cheap chaff is so OP. It just doesn't ever run away. It's just like, okay, I'm just going to stand and fight. At like an immovable wall in front of our range units who also can't run away, so you can't even like harass them. I think leadership is necessary, personally, but you know, everyone to their own appearance. You have no idea what if you're going private or public. I think private. Private's normally more expensive, but like it's way better. You won't feel anything. They actually like gas you up properly. If you go public, like it's horrible. I had like such a bad dentist when I was a kid. He was like an old guy who obviously just didn't give a crap anymore, and yeah, he did like a terrible job. So I've got like a really dodgy like filling and stuff, and I had to have another one like redone at like later dates and stuff because it's just it was terrible. It was terrible. I don't go private. I'm still NHS because private is very expensive over here in the UK, but I just found like a much better dentist. A pretty cool build from Dame. It's she seems to have like found a few formats and she likes to keep playing them, which honestly is a good way to learn with an army. If you find an army that you're comfortable with, you can keep trying it. So she has a load of zombies. She has some skeleton spearmen. We also have triple blood knights, I believe, which is gangster as hell. So double blood knights on the right. Yeah, one on the left-hand side. We have the black coach again, with the Terrorgeist up in the skies. We also have a white king, as well as Heinrich Kemmler down on the ground, coming in with Wind of Death, which is very cool. Invocation Heck, Gaze and Nagash, and Valhans Dance Macabre. I just realized, yeah, Phoenix King's earlier build was actually illegal. He had Silvern Guard, but he's taken that back. With some Terrorgeists up in the sky, just the one. Now, this is the big problem, is a Terrorgeist alone is going to get absolutely dumped on by the Prince. So, Phoenix King loves a Prince Dragon. It can become a very powerful melee combatant. It also has fire damage, which is really bad for the vampire counts. He has the Blade, he has Stand Your Ground, he has Deadly Onslaught, the Bane Shield, and all that goodness. We also have double Shadow Walkers, a load of Spearmen dotted along the line, a Mage of Life with Earth, Blood, and Regrowth, and triple Dragon Princes. Now, those triple Dragon Princes are about to get their arse handed to them by the Blood Knights. Blood Knights, they spit in the face of Dragon Princes. God, my voice died there. Spit in the face of Dragon Princes. It ain't none but a thing. But that gigantic dragon is very spooky. If Dame can surround it, however, it's very squishy, and it'll die pretty damn quick. Unfortunately, I feel like the Terrorgeist isn't going to have the best of times in this fight. Speed-wise, it is 90 speed against the 100 speed of the Prince, so that is with Foe Seeker popped, so it should be able to outpace the dragon when that isn't active. So this Terrorgeist needs to stay away from that dragon, at least until it can commit to a ground fight and then come into the fight. We do have Gaze and Nagash to help do some big damage to the Prince. This Terrorgeist just needs to flee. Just run, get out of there, distract the dragon, drag it to the other side of the battlefield, and then just destroy this army, because the Blood Knights will certainly do that quite nicely. And you can see the Prince is now down to 80 speed, I think. And the Terrorgeist is on 90, so it should be able to escape. Now, the Dragon Princes are considering taking this fight. There are Shadow Walkers nearby, which is a little bit scary. If the Terror guys can actually commit to a fight on the ground with the Dragon Princes and get the Blood Knights over there, that'd be fantastic. So, Dragon Princes are going to lance into zombies. That's not really much for anyone. Now, I don't know if Dame knows this. This obviously is breaking the rules. She's not played in a tournament yet, so we'll let her know. But you cannot have the majority of your army in the forest like this. You must be moving forward and getting aggressive and attacking. So the Blood Knights do fall back. Likewise do the Dragon Princes. Shadow Walkers currently just vibing. Likewise is the Terrorgeist. And now the Spearmen will be advancing into the forest. The White King, as well as Heinrich Kemmler, will be moving over to help support. I do not believe the White King has the item. The item's very good. I'm not going to worry about that too much, though, as it is very micro-intensive. It looks like we may get a big fight down here. Dame is trying to force this Dragon Prince fight. But it's a little bit scary because there's a lot of Dragon Princes plus the Prince over here. And again, it's the situation of like the cavalry fighting by themselves while the entire infantry corps is just kind of like chilling, right? You need your mages over here, you need your support, because now there's no healing, and a big scary breath attack comes down on the Blood Knights and jumps them. Plus stand your ground, plus Bane Shield. These Dragon Princes aren't going anywhere. We do get a counter punch, which is quite nice, with the Invocation of the Heck going down. But the Dragon... Actually, I don't know if that even went down. No, so they're trying to retreat. They're doing the right thing, not fighting this engagement, and trying to pull back as much as possible and get out of the danger zone. The infantry corps, of course, are going to win, but it's like a slow, grindy fight, so it's not really, like, important. Like, you got, like, 5 units of zombies killing 1 unit of spearmen, it doesn't matter if, like, all your heavy hitters are kind of, like, slaughtered and killed. So, the Blood Knights are going to be going down here. There's some attempted healing, I think, going down. No, it's the attempted spells from the Prince. Blood Knights are trying to fall back. Likewise is the Black Coach, making it back to the main battle line. Spearmen will get dragged down, but they're also going to take 5 years to do so. They have 50 melee defense currently, which is kind of insane. And the Black Coach will be moving back to help deal with them, though it is fighting in the woods, which isn't going to help it too nicely. Black Coach runs over some spearmen, and the Prince is just quite happily up in the skies, devouring Dragon Princes. Now the fact they've gone, it's basically game over, sadly. Apologies for the coughing. And this is something we've seen a couple of times from Dame, so we'll speak to her about it again. It's no biggie. I did this all the time when I first started playing. Get your Lord sniped, get your cavalry kind of in bad engagements. Because now the Shadow Walkers have absolute free reign. Dragon Princes have free reign to cycle charge. And yeah, you got a load of skeleton warriors and zombies, but they're not here to dish out any damage. They are slowly overwhelming the spearmen. Looks like the Black Coach is about to receive a lovely present from the Prince. Comes down, taps it on the head, and devours its soul. White King as well as Krell are trying their hardest. They've dragged down a decent number of the Dragon Princes, but just finding themselves in that bad engagement really is kind of, you know, Phoenix King's played in a ridiculous number of tournaments. He knows how to, like, snipe targets and get those good engagements, and that is a lot of what kind of multiplayer is about, is, you know, forcing your opponent into engagements they don't want to be in, and yet you want to be in. But they were saying, good luck, have fun. So Dragon Princes do charge in. Spearmen are supporting as well. Zombies and skeleton spearmen are starting to go down. Krell did get summoned, and he beat the snot out of some Dragon Princes, up to 5 Dragon Prince kills. White King and Heinrich Kemmler are still alive. We do have a Wind of Death. Now, if we get a Wind of Death through these double Dragon Princes who are stacked here, that is going to be absolutely glorious stuff, but it's only really if Phoenix King messes up his micro is that going to be allowed to happen. He gets distracted by his beautiful dragon or anything like that. We are about to get a Wind of Death. Oh no, it got cancelled. I think Krell got set, Heinrich Kemmler might have been staggered there. It is going to come down, but now Phoenix King has noticed it. He is going to retreat backwards. Dragon Princess attempting to retreat. Lovely bit of damage, though. Snipes 1 unit. The Spearmen also get absolutely destroyed, but the Dragon Princess once again shall be falling back, and now the map control is completely in the Heil's favor. Shadow Walkers just going to be poking down, doing some damage, and it's only a matter of time, because there's nothing here really which can kill the Prince, apart from maybe Krell, and Krell does stick around for a while, but eventually he will go down, and it's just a big blob fight in the forest at the moment. What about the less great battles in history? What are you talking about? Some of the greatest battles in history won by morale damage. Oh, yeah, for sure. Like a lot of the killing happens in battles after the fight when people are running away. That's when the real slaughter normally begins. There's obviously, you know, other examples where there's a lot of slaughter in a battle, but for the most part, in like a big battle, less people die than they do in kind of like a lot of the movies and stuff. It's the routing afterwards where they're being chased down by cavalry and stuff. That's when a lot of people die, or big surrounds, like Battle of Cannae, for example. A lovely breath attack is going to come down. It's going to hit Heinrich Kemmler. He's going to get very beat up, and army losses is going to kick in. And yeah, sadly, that literally came down to the Blood Knights. The wind was awesome, though. The wind was awesome. The Wind of Death was pretty damn gangster. If it didn't get cancelled the first time as well, it probably killed the other unit of knights as well, the princes. Krell tried his hardest, but the nasty prince was too much in the end. So, how much damage did you get? 1.8k damage value from Heinrich Kemmler, my god. Yeah, the Terrorgeist and the Blood Knights just coming into that fight again was the one problem, like, realizing that they couldn't win that fight and kind of getting enticed into it a little bit was, like, the only thing. 5,000 damage value on the Prince, my god. Look at that carry, 5,173 damage value. Dragon Prince did okay, but compared to that, jeez. That Prince was on roids today. That Prince did work. Yo, 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 yo.
Hello.
Hello, hello. I'm just going to quickly message Geese Howard to get him in there. Go up, and then we'll do one more game after that and then close it out. But, again, like, first and foremost, that Wind of Death was a work of art. That was amazing. Chat loved it. You killed like 2 units of Spearmen and a unit of Dragon Princes in one cast. It was very nicely placed. I'm assuming you know what the problem was there that time. It was similar to one you'd had kind of before, where your Blood Knights were quite away from your infantry, and a lot of your army is your infantry, and they ended up taking a fight they basically couldn't win. They were going up against the Triple Dragon Princes, which is fine, but you couldn't support your guys with magic or anything, because the rest of your build was quite far away from that action. And then he had a dragon as well, which would come in, do breath attacks, buff up its troops, and all that kind of crazy stuff. So I think it really was more just about keeping those Blood Knights in a little bit more reserve, because your opponent didn't really have much of a back line. He had a couple units of Shadow Walkers, but you didn't need to move the Blood Knights up and around. You could keep them with your main army for now, and then like strike when the time is right. Also a note just for the tournament. This goes for the majority of tournaments. You can't have the majority of your army in a forest, basically. It gets classed as like forest camping, which is just to stop like people like lurking in a forest, and if again someone's brought full cav, they just like go hide in a forest or something like that.
Yeah.
So the majority of your army would have had to like move out from the forest. It didn't really matter in this case. But it was just making sure, again, that your army is kind of fighting together and your Blood Knights aren't, like, fighting against the enemy army and then the rest of your army comes. You should have, like, pulled back towards the main force and fight amongst your own troops where you can buff them and you can use your magic rather than your opponent. Because a lot of how my players actually won or lost is forcing your opponent into engagements they don't want to take. So like you've done before, where you've done good, you push your, like, monsters onto their range units. That's a fight they don't want, and that's you being aggressive and forcing them to play in that engagement. Whereas here, Phoenix was kind of like baiting. He was like moving the Shadow Walkers around, like, oh, come get me. And then once your Blood Knights commit, he's like, okay, I'm going to jump you with all my troops. I have a dragon. I have the speed advantage right now. And your infantry is just too slow to kind of catch up. So in Vampire counts, it's pretty important to be relatively compact and like fight together, because they're very powerful. But if your Terrorgeist kind of, you know, is fighting one thing, and your Blood Knights are kind of over somewhere else fighting something else, you're not very quick to go support troops.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was like the only thing really. It's literally just keeping the Blood Knights closer, and you'd have had a much better chance of winning there. But still, the Wind of Death was very nice as well, and you kept your composure and continued to fight to the end, which is good. Oh, that was just coming down to the cav engagement. Literally, your opponent's saying the same thing. It was literally just the cav engagement and taking that fight. But still, nonetheless, we will move on now to, I believe... Oh, Geese Howard, hop in now. Cool, and I am back. So, you're up against Geese Howard. He loves his Beastmen. He's a very nice dude. He's quite a good mod as well for the channel. Obviously, you can't play Beastmen, but is there anything else you'd like to give a go? Do you now like to try High Elves, or do you want to stick with kind of your Councilors and Skaven combos?
I'll try the High Elves.
Yeah, give them a go. I don't think we've played High Elves yet on here. And then when you're high elves, who do you fancy banning out of the factions?
Probably the lizard man.
Yeah, it was just interesting because as Lizardman, you hate facing the high elf. So, with I don't know if he's going chaos. I don't think he can play chaos. I'm afraid. So what are the things you hate about high elves when lizardmen attack you? Or no, when you're lizardmen and you're attacking high elves, what do you hate about the high elves?
Well, the combination of missiles and speed and flyers, just they can be kind of anywhere.
Oh, I'm just gonna let him know quickly what he can play. No DLC unit. Must be faith. So you could do the same back as well if you'd like, though, against Lizardmen. So why would you ban Lizardmen if you think high elves are good against them? If you know what I mean. You just think you can't play in that style, or?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. That's fine. If you don't think you can play in that style, that's perfectly fine. Okay. Messages. No DLC. Cool. Like he's on board. And we'll see what he picks, and then we can build from there.
Right.
Are you excited for the weekend?
Or
are you scared for the weekend?
Scared, I guess.
Yeah? Okay. That's cool. So what? Yeah, they got another day of training as well tomorrow, if you're still on for that. And what we'll probably do here is we'll do this game and then one more, and then close it off for today, because you've been going for quite a time. I don't need to get too ground down. I know it's annoying, particularly when you first start playing and, like, you lose a lot of games. It can be really, like, demoralizing. But if you do have more time between now and the tournament, so, tomorrow, whenever, feel free just to keep playing quick battles and stuff, because it is really like a trial and error process.
Yeah.
I don't know why he's still playing here. Oh, he switched. Okay, he's going Bretonia. Interesting. So, you've already beaten Bretonia today. Oh, I'll check his for them. Awesome. So you've already beaten Bretonia today. And the things that we spoke about then, which is most scary for Bretonia, is their cavalry. So you want to bring some stuff to kill their cavalry. And they've got pretty good characters, and they've got a load of cheap archers, which can be a big pain in your butt. So range might not actually be necessarily your best option here, simply due to the fact that he's going to be able to swarm you quite good with cav and other stuff. So you can bring skirmish cav like you've got, and spearmen are going to be very good here. Spearmen, you can't bring Silver Guard, which kind of sucks. Phoenix Guard can be good, but they are relatively slow, so you need to pair them with cavalry to like pin the enemy in place, or use some kind of net or something to pin the enemy. It can also work quite well. Yeah, so I like Phoenix Guard pick. The Reavers are quite nice. Sweet. I like it so far. Yeah, Phoenix Guard, pretty good in this matchup. Just because they can kill all the infantry. You got to be a little careful of magic coming at them. So make sure they don't get burned and headed or anything like that. Teclis is a lovely pick as well. The double Flamesire Phoenix is a little risky, because Bretonia can go something like King Leon Leoncoeur in the sky. So if you're not going to go a dragon with them, like a Dragon Prince or something, I would probably drop them. And just try to play to your strengths. I mean, you could even drop them and go for something like a Bolt Thrower. just like 1 or 2 bolt throws to apply pressure, and it's not too much to protect, and then you can bring some more like cavalry just to help pin the enemy in place. Even if it's not cavalry which is going to win the fight, it can pin them in so your Phoenix Guard can do some good work.
Hmm.
So yeah, you've got a nice base here, like the Phoenix Guard, to help deal with cavalry. You've got Linen Reavers to annoy the enemy. Bolt throws are very good at killing cav models as well. I like that quite a bit. And Imric on horse isn't terrible here, because on his dragon, again, it's like the risk of, if you're up against King Leon Linker, it can be like a big struggle. But yeah, if you want to commit, if you want to commit fully, then that's fine. Go Imric, double Flames Fire, and like bomb the knights. I would recommend if you bring Imric to bring a Law of Life caster on horseback, just because he needs some healing. Basically, he's so expensive, but he hits so hard. He's so good. But you need to make sure you get Regroves and Earthbloods on him and that kind of stuff.
Okay. Um,
It's annoying you can't get Rangers, which kind of sucks.
yeah.
Cool. Looks like Mr. Geese is ready.
Yep.
Gonna be a weird fight. I'm putting you out there now. I've looked at both your builds. It's gonna be really weird. Looks like that can happen, but it's gonna be. I think you're either gonna win it or lose it really quickly. I think for both of you.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's gonna be weird. Cool. Well, once again, I'm gonna abandon you, and I'll be back in a little bit.
Okay.
This is going to be such a weird game, guys. We've got like 2 air cores against each other. Double Flamesfire Phoenix and Imric versus Alberic and double Hippogriff Knights. This is going to be ridiculous. Alas, yeah, you can't pick Silver Guard. You can't pick Silver Guard, which sucks. Silver Guard will be really good. Up against like all the cav and stuff. It's going to come down again to these like big engagements, and I think this is what Dame's struggling with the most, is like when she gets her like cavalry out on the flank or something, she'll just be like, oh, I guess I'll commit to this fight, but it's like not winnable. Needs to stay with her infantry force, but this time she doesn't have the option because it's the air game. So Imric is an absolute chad. She needs to fight next to her Mage of Life so it can heal. That's like the big thing. It's got regrowth. Use it to heal up Imric, and Imric should be able to kill Alberic. Alberic will be given anti-large to the Royal Hippogriff Knights, I believe. Let's double check. I swear he gives like anti-large. Yeah, he gives bonus versus large, which is really nice. He also has a Damsel of Life. We have double Hippogriff Knights, 4 archers, a load of foot squires and spearmen across the battle line, and a load of peasant mobs as well. Should be good fun. I mean, the Illyrian Reaver archers can also support from long range. They don't have the best targets today, but they can whip around the flanks onto the peasant bowmen or hunt down the air corps. Can also be relatively nice. Now, it looks like a nice little defensive box at the back here, expecting a lot of cavalry. We do have 1 unit of Lothran Sea Guard, which is good. The box will be broken simply due to the fact the peasants have way, not so much ammunition. They'll easily better overwhelm the Lothran Sea Guard. I would love to see what she does with Imric's breath attacks, because if he gets a good breath attack onto the flyers, which is hard to pull off, he'll do a lot of damage. But likewise, if he comes over the flank and does breath attacks on peasant bowmen, that can be nice as long as they're not shooting him, because he's so expensive, it can get a little bit pricey. I admit it's a little sad to see the no DLCs. It's just because it's a little overwhelming for players who haven't played the game like at all before. It's very unfair on them compared to you know, people who played multiplayer, because they don't know what anything does. They just get overwhelmed by the amount of units. Plus, it means you have to buy them all, and that would really limit the amount of people who could take part in this event, I'm afraid. But yeah, but I do agree. I do agree. Yeah, there's obviously like a load of limited stuff, but I mean, it needs to be, because remember, guys, this game is massive. It's been out for like 4 years, just Total Warhammer 2, plus then all the base 1 game factions. Like, we've kind of been playing it for years, so it's like, oh yeah, just pick one of these, you know, 16 factions. With a brand new player, it's like, oh my god, there's 16 factions I have to learn? Like, this is where they start with 4 when a new game's released. You get like your 4 factions or your 5th faction, maybe. Good luck, have fun. Have a little sip of my drink. Man, how long have I been casting for so far? My voice is starting to die. Yeah, the hippogriffs might be the dragon in the sky. Yeah, it's actually kind of fun. I'm probably going to host a tournament like this at some point where you don't play, like you're not allowed to play with DLC units or something, because the meta's just like shifts and it's really fun to watch. So, the Reavers are pushing forward. They're looking to bring the pain. And we do see the double Royal Hippogriff Knights up in the skies with Alberic. And now that they've got that bonus versus large, they are going to be absolute monsters to deal with. And this could be very problematic. I mean, Flames Fire Phoenixes are tanky. They have to fight as a free, obviously. And breath attacks could be nasty, but they don't want to fight anywhere near the Peasant Bowman. That's going to be one of the biggest determining factors. Fight over top of your caster where you get healed. And your Lothran Sea Guard, don't go anywhere near those Poxy peasants, because that could be very problematic as well. A few arrows are loosed. It does look like First Blood is drawn for the High Elves, as the peasants do fall. A couple of them dying here, and now the Flame Sire Phoenixes are going to be getting nice and aggressive. It looks like they might go in for this. This is going to be really risky against the Peasant Bowman. But it looks like they're going to chill for now. Imric as well, just floating and vibing. And the Lothran Sea Guard are focusing down the Peasant Bowman, which is a good pick. Reaver Archers can do the same as well to this unit on the far right-hand side, which would be certainly nice to see. Now, the Flamefire Phoenixes are moving out to this flank and taking a little bit of poke damage. They do, of course, have the ability to regrowth. They might go for a little bit of a poo dive. No, they're going to just jump on the Peasant Bowman. So this is really risky, because now they're the ones who are going to be receiving the charge. And if they don't get out the way, oh, yeah, this is going to be so nasty. The Phoenixes do start to move out the way. Hippogriff Knights do jump on them. We get an Earthblood go down. Flamesfire Phoenixes will be able to escape this. If they get up in the air, now Imric is coming around, and he takes a big chunk out of those Hippogriff Knights. Where is the caster? The caster needs to start healing these troops where possible. Drop a regrowth from the Flamesfire Phoenix. Keep it alive and in action, because this big old air core is where it's at, basically. And it does look like the Flamesfire Phoenix is being gooned. Likewise, though, oh, it gets the regrowth, but I think a little late, because it's going to be broken. Yeah, it's broken, and it's going to be chased off the battlefield, which kind of sucks. But Imric's getting in there and doing the dirty back as well. The Royal Hippogriff Knights also receive a regrowth, and this is one of the most frustrating battles. I absolutely hate it when this happens. When you go, like, air, and then your opponent goes even more air cheese, and you get, like, overwhelmed. So Alberic does have Lord of Dragons popped on him. Imric comes in and starts slamming him, and is doing a good job up against him, but because that regrowth is used on the Phoenix, and instead of Imric, like, he's now going to lose this fight. If it was used on him, he'd probably kill Alberic here. Still die, though, to the Royal Hippogriff Knights. Now, the infantry fight is going really well, of course, for the High Elf forces. We have the archers in the back just being a pain, poking down the Peasant Bowman. And it does look like Imric is going to be just about able to escape here. But I don't know for how long. There is in hot pursuit of him. And now the Phoenixes are kind of quite struggling. Alberic's very low. He does not have the ability to regenerate either. And it looks like Imric's just going to go bomb rush the Peasant Bowman, which is good. The problem is that this opens up the fact that he can be charged himself. So Alberic is going to come in. Imric manages to escape. He should probably go up into the skies or just turn and goon him whilst the Hippogriffs are away. They're going to be chasing off one of the Flamesfire Phoenixes. He does turn around and instantly starts slapping up Alberic. And we need that regrowth to be, like, off cooldown right now, because Imric would then win, but it looks like the mage may be getting gooned here. And Alberic is very close to going down. We need one more successful hit from Imric, and down the enemy leader does go. If we get a regrowth on Imric, maybe there is still a chance. Maybe. And he is falling back in the right direction. The Phoenix probably needs to try to support him where possible. 191 HP. If there is that regrowth coming, it's going to be great. If it's not, then it is GG's, I think. Though the Phoenix Guard are still strong, Skirmish Cav have managed to beat off a lot of the enemy. There is still Royal Hippogriff Knights, and that is very problematic. But Flamesfire Phoenix is going in with the Phoenix Guard, and we are actually going to get a regrowth. Hopefully it's Overcast. We will double check. It is basic one. Still, it's a lot of HP. And now he probably has to commit to this fight. Come over here, jump the Royal Hippogriffs. It's very scary because you're so low HP, but you need to support with the Phoenix Guard and pin in this unit. And it's the biggest threat to the build is these Royal Hippogriffs. We're going to see a big breath attack come down the line. It is on the foot squires, doing some decent job. And now the Royal Hippogriff Knights are being dragged apart by the Phoenix Guard. Imric needs to take this time to come in here, punish them, and kill them. Because otherwise it's going to be really problematic. Now, the Illyrian Reavers are being dragged down by foot squires. More of them are falling back right now. It does look like the Royal Hippogriffs will be able to escape up into the skies. They don't currently have their bonus versus large, though, so I do expect Imric to beat them. A little unlucky there with the Flamesfire Phoenix. It did not get its regrowth. If it had its regrowth, I think the Hives would be in a pretty decent situation, but as things stand, it's going relatively well for the Bretonnians. This unit of Royal Hippogriffs has been dealt with. Another regrowth on Imric is kind of needed, but it's going to be a little while. We have Royal Hippogriff Knights still escorting that Flamesfire Phoenix off the battlefield, and they have managed to successfully do so now. And these other Hippogriffs are being forced back by the Dreadlord himself. Now, the archers can rain shots down. Imric is on hot pursuit. We've kind of formed a big old death blob right now. Cavalry's doing a decent job. They've managed to run over some of the peasant bowmen and chase them down. They just need to now come back to the main fight. Spearmen and Phoenix Guard are going to be a little bit tricky to handle, particularly those Phoenix Guard, if they can take care of the archers, because the archers really need to whittle them down where possible. Now, Imric is chasing off the Royal Hippogriffs. He needs to be careful. There's still another full health unit of Royal Hippogriffs here. We are going to see another regrowth, though, go down on Imric, which is lovely to see. He needs to be nice and topped up. And it's going to get him relatively healthy again. Maybe not enough, though, to drag down the 6 Hippogriffs. If he can pop Lord of Dragons on them, actually, he could probably take that fight. Lord of Dragons is very powerful, and it can be used as well on the enemy units. Negative 40 melee attack means they're not going to be hitting and lowering their melee defense. I think it might be a worthwhile gamble, because the Reavers are moving around. They need to jump, of course, on the Bowmen. Spearmen are holding the line with the Phoenix Guard. Foot squires are problematic, but it's doable. Imric is going to turn to fight this. Will he put Lord of Dragons? He does indeed. So Lord of Dragons goes down. This is lovely to see. Is it going to be enough? This is kind of a gamble. Imric was also going to blow the horn there. The Horn of Vengeance. One more time into the deep. Unfortunately, those other Royal Hippogriffs weren't chased off, and they're actually going to come back to the fight. Is it going to be enough? Is it going to be enough? He's doing so much damage there. Elsewhere, it's just a big old spear wall of elves are forcing their way through the battle line, looking to hunt down these peasant bowmen. A lovely catch as well on the Damsel of Life. Imric decides he's going to flee this, which is probably, I don't know, I think he has to commit. Now he's going to try to fall back and get out of there, but his speed is 80 versus the 80. Not too much more speed, actually. What speed are these guys? Is it 80? Might be the same, but with their attack animations, they should catch Imric. So he's going to turn to fight this. A big old kind of jaw wraps around the throat of a Hippogriff, but that regrowth does go down, and the Hippogriffs are going to manage to claim Imric there, which is going to be a little bit rough from now on. It looks like we are getting a regrowth from the Mage. Yeah, just not quite close enough there to Imric, who does fall down. Royal Hippogriffs, though, will struggle to deal with the Phoenix Guard, and if the health morale can stabilize, they're honestly not too terrible situation. The foot squires are actually a problem, which I never thought I would ever say that in my life on live stream. The foot squires are a bit of a problem, but they actually are here, so they're just going to have to hide the Mage now in the Phoenix Guard and be a bit of a come at me bro moment. But now there's no way of sniping the Damsel of Life, which is problematic. Because she can just heal these Royal Hippogriff Knights up quite hard now. Spearmen are overwhelming the Spearmen arms and can start to push through. There's still just so many troops, unfortunately, blocking the way from getting after those peasant bowmen. You can see the elves are trying to force their way through this gap, like open the breach. But I don't think there's going to be any way in, and there's a load of ammunition left on them. Royal Hippogriff Knights are floating around. We do have some sneaky Illyrian Reavers coming back to play, looking to jump and goon out the enemy. But leadership's going to become a big problem now, particularly with the Terracors and Hippogriffs coming down to swoop upon them. I mean, the Phoenix Guard are going to do fantastic. Reavers are trying to get in the back, but a lovely counterpunch by Geese Howard with the Royal Hippogriff Knights dart down onto the Illyrian Reaver Archers, starting to overwhelm them. Phoenix Guard are struggling. 103 kills is pretty good, but the morale's going to break, and they are going to fall back. GG's once again. Very close game. Again, very unlucky. Like, Dame's had some pretty awful luck, to be honest, with the build so far. Like, hey, I'm going to bring double Phoenix and Imric. Normally, yeah, that's going to be pretty good. You can kind of dictate the play. And then Geese instantly brings Alberic and double Hippogriff Knights, which is a bit bad. 2.6 and 3.3k damage value, 1.9 as well. The Air Core did its work because the Flamesfire Phoenixes simply weren't enough with support of Imric. Now, Imric got 4,487 One more regrowth on him, and I think he'd have been absolutely fine. And the Reaver's got 560 and 540 damage value, 878 for the Phoenix Guard as well. So it's a bit of a gamble there by both players going with the Air Core. And it was close, but alas, it was not quite enough there. Yeah, you can't bring Rangers, unfortunately. And Rangers do get run over by Cavalry, which is a little bit of a problem. Like, Rangers are a little bit easy to abuse, unfortunately. But GG's, well played to Geese. Quickly message Archangel out now. Oh, no worries. Looks like he can't make it now. Cool. So, bam, bam, bam. Received a load of messages. So, we'll try and get one more game in. Hello, hello.
Hello.
Yo, yo. Oh, sweet. That was actually a pretty close game in the end. I thought that was going to be over, like, really quickly, one way or another. And annoyingly, from the rep, you were, like, completely counterpicked. With the Royal Hippogriffs and Albert, because he gives them extra bonus versus large. You managed to handle the situation pretty damn well. You got your regrowths onto Imric, which was key. And one more regrowth the mage couldn't quite reach. This was the... But mages struggle a little bit to get where they need to be sometimes to cast spells. So if you've got a little bit of money, chucking them on a horse can often be worth it. Because Imric probably would have won that fight with one more regrowth on him up in the air. And if you win the fight, it's just you win the game because he saw some peasant bowmen, but everything else is going to break as soon as Imric touches them. The Hippogriffs were basically kind of like the main problem. Come up against the Phoenixes. You did a better job this time of not kind of committing to a fight that you couldn't win in the sky. And you tried staying a little bit closer to your army, which is crucial because you need your mage to pop regrowths, and you don't want to fight over top of those peasants at all. The only one thing is, when you land to strike down at the enemy, if that's near your own lines, that's completely a good tactic. So your Phoenix Guard are fighting up against some peasants, dive your Phoenixes over there, because if he wants to come in for the kill, he's going to be fighting anti-large troops. The problem with doing that in enemy territory is now he gets a free charge on you, because he gets to be the one to swoop down and attack, and then they get the big charge bonus, and, you know, all the negatives apply to you and all that kind of stuff, which happened like once or twice. But that was honestly a little unlucky with the builds, and considering I think he had quite an advantage with his build because he had gone with the kind of the better Air Force. You were ran that ridiculously close considering. So, well played. Don't be disheartened by that one at all. That was a very close scrap. So, if you've got it in you, I think we're going to do just one last game.
Sure.
If you want to do one more. And let's see who we can find to play against you. I think we ran through our list. I'll open up the chat. If anyone in chat wants to play, we'll do one more. If not, I'll hop into play as well. I'll give chat the opportunity. Imric, yeah, but Imric was a beast. I think you got like 4k damage value on him or something crazy. But yeah, air squads are very powerful, but just very risky because again, your opponent can do something like that, which completely counters them, and then they can like really struggle. But it's cool to see dragons in action as well. A lot of high elf players don't use them nowadays because in the current meta they're not super good. But considering the tournament we're in, dragons are totally a viable option. Cool. I think Barry wants to play. So we're going to get him in. Let me hop into Discord. He's here. It doesn't look like he's in my Discord, but he's on chat. Barry, if you want to hop in. Oh, King of the Dead stopped in. We can play King of the Dead. King is like a top tier tournament player though. So, let me message. Oh, I'll let King play, but he is very, very good player, so I'd be wary.
Okay.
Oh no, okay, he's dropped out. I mean, King, if you want to play, you can play. If not, we'll let Bowie go in. I will let you two fight for the honor to play Dame. Yo, looks like King's back. You got your wish, King. You are good. Play. I'll let in the rules. Just no DLC units. And only base action. Play. I know he wants to play as Team Kings. But he's not allowed to. Obviously with King of the Dead, he's got the name for it. Cool. Oh no, I've got more bots. Okay, I'll leave him. You got any more streams planned this week, by the way?
No.
No. Okay, fair. I know a few of the people. I had a few messages saying people had come to check out your stuff and had really enjoyed it.
Oh, nice. Yeah, I just, I'm doing this and then I'm actually moving across the continent, so
Wait, what?
yeah,
When are you doing that?
at the end of the month.
Oh no. Okay, where are you moving to?
Montreal.
Nice. What made you move there?
Well, I have family there. I'm from Canada.
Coming back. Cool. That's going to be very stressful. I'm
Yeah.
sure. Okay, well, best of luck with that. I didn't know you were doing that at the same time.
Yeah, I mean, it's not for a couple of weeks, but,
Mm-hmm.
taking some time away from streaming to deal with that.
Yeah, and that's completely understandable. I literally just had to move across the road once. We had a big leak in our house. So we got moved while the landlords did the place up, and it was a nightmare just walking across the street. So I can imagine moving across the continent is a little bit more stressful than that. Cool. So he's going vampire count, and he has no mortis engines. So units like Temple Guard are going to be really good here. Up against vampire counts, because I don't have too many answers for them apart from Wind of Death, which is dodgeable, but Lismin are a little bit slumberous sometimes. They can find it hard to dodge. The main threats for you, realistically, are going to be either Blood Knights or single entities again. So characters, large monsters, that's the kind of stuff which can hurt you pretty bad.
Yeah.
Mazdamundi is a great pick because Banishments and Ruination is magic damage. So he can hurt Hex Wraiths, Pain Wraiths, anything like that. And it can also be used on Blood Knights as well to get rid of them. So you can still go with Mazdamundi because you've been putting in some pretty good work with him. You're just going to have to be a little bit more defensive with him. In this fight, you don't want to push into the enemy backline at all. There's no need to. So you actually want Mazdamundi well and truly amongst your own troops at all times. You always want him fighting on top of Temple Guard, on top of Saurus Warriors, anything like that.
Yeah.
So yeah, you can do the duo again. That could be very powerful. Just checking out King's build as well. It's looking pretty funky. Oh god. Yeah, don't listen to anything King says. He likes to he's a really nice dude. He's actually really lovely. He has a very funny sense of comedy. He likes to chat a lot of crap, basically. Oh my god, yeah, his build is very weird. It's certainly got some teeth. So, Pterodons in this matchup. I'm not sure they're that great because Pterodon's main thing is pushing into the enemy back line. So what's your thinking behind the Pterodons?
Well, my thinking was they could annoy things in the sky, even if they wouldn't kill them.
Yeah, that's totally viable as well. So you can poison
And with
down
the
Terragons and stuff.
poison, Yeah, they would slow them down and just
Mm-hmm.
generally be annoying.
Yeah, okay. That's a completely viable option. I was just trying to pick your brain there. Source Warriors will kill, zombies and skeleton warriors all day. And Temple Guard will do a fantastic job of protecting Lord Mazdamundi and the Skink Chief. Just, my main advice is, yeah, keep those Stegodons fighting on top of Temple Guard. And your Stegodons kill the infantry. Temple Guard kill all the large creatures and stuff. There's no corpse carts here. There's no Morse engines, which is massive for you. It means he's got even more struggles to take down Temple Guard. So I like the build. I think it's really solid.
All right.
Awesome stuff. Oh, well, I'm going to leave you alone with the King of the Dead, and I'll speak to you afterwards. Good luck.
Thanks.
I'm really rooting. I'm like, just because, King of the Dead is my arch rival in life. Not in Total War, we're friends in Total War, but in life, we're arch rivals. I'm rooting for Dame quite hard on this one. So fingers crossed, fingers crossed. She's played way too good today to only leave this with 1 win. I hope to get the second one. You guys have been mean. You guys have been mean all day. Basically, everyone's brought, like, really good builds, which is very scary. But she's handled it well. She's handled it well, I think. Had some good games. Some very close games. And a cheeky little victory as well, taking down the Bretonnian forces. And hopefully we can get a little bit more of that in tomorrow as well. So, for the glorious forces of Dame, we do have the triple Saurus Warriors, triple Temple Guard build, with Pterodon Riders up in the skies. We have Lord Mazdamundi of Apotheosis, Curse of Midnight Wind, and Net. I quite like the inclusion of the Curse there to nuke the stats of the enemy, and the dreaded Skink Chiefy. The forces of King of the Dead, he's gone really weird. He has double Vargeist up in the skies, alongside a Terrorgeist. We also have a Strigoi Vampire Lord. So that's a lot of breath attacks coming in, which can deal with the Temple Guard, because that's all he has to deal with them. Everything else is just Skeleton Warriors, Zombies, pure chaff, and triple Cane Wraith. So if the Cane Wraiths get caught out by a Banishment or a Ruination, that's going to be really nasty for them. They can be netted and kind of taken down. But because in this battle, the Lizmen can't take the Star Chamber Guardians, Cane Wraiths are actually going to be pretty good here. They're going to be pretty good. I don't believe Mazdamundi, he does much damage when he's on his toilet seat. He doesn't do it when he's on Zalak. So it's really going to come down to the Banishments, as well as the Ruinations being used on those units, and the Temple Guard protecting up against the Vampire Lords and stuff. It's going to be a fun one. Yeah, you're honestly right, Dr. Richter. So there's been lots of bad luck in duels. There was a Skaven one where she should have taken the head off Grombrindle and couldn't manage to do it. And Imric as well up in the skies was so close. It was so close. Yes, thank you so much, Geese. Geese is such a lad. If Imric killing Alberic, if you like Imric killing Alberic, then why not leave a like or even subscribe? He makes a good point. He makes a good point. I hope you guys have been enjoying this event, by the way. It's running for another stream like this tomorrow, and then we have the event actually happening Saturday and Sunday, not on my channel, but over on Crib Assembly's channels instead. I do have a video that's coming out later today, by the way. I'm probably going to drop it like straight after, because it's way later than I planned to stream. So we'll probably drop that relatively soon after. Strigoi Vampire Lord takes a bit of punishment there. He's trying to juke back and forth, and he does succeed in dodging the second shot, but the Strigoi Vampire Lord did eat the first one to the face. And it looks like we're going to see a net come down, which is quite interesting. We also have a Spirit Leech go down. And I don't know why the net. I guess just to annoy the Pterodons. Breath attacks are going after Lord Mazdamundi. And it looks like the Star Chamber Guardians, the Temple Guard. I'm so used to seeing Star Chamber Guardians are kind of maneuvering around. And now these Pterodons do need to flee. So they're kind of standing and fighting up against the Vargeist. If they can kite back, they can do some really nice damage. The bow isn't good at hitting targets in the air is the problem. It's really good against cavalry and stuff. But it has stopped the Strigoi Vampire Lord being too much of a pain in the butt, and the Pterodons are now getting eaten up. They need to just be on skirmish mode right now and just kite for days, because the Vargeist shouldn't realistically, I mean 79 speed versus 90, they shouldn't be able to catch them. Obviously Dance Macabre can come into effect, and now just like a load of breath attacks and stuff are coming down. Shots are being rained up by the Skink Chief into the sky. Pterodons are running away in all directions, which is fantastic. They'll 360 no-scope the Vargeist and slow them down. That's some nice play, just dragging them wide. But King, very experienced player, is going to slow the game down as much as possible and just Spirit Leech spam Lord Mazdamundi to the death. I'll be there rooting for Dougie's coin. Yeah, hopefully it should be... Oh no! The lag has kicked in. Probably King of the Dead hitting in his lag switch because he knows he's losing. Standard King. Standard King. He was panicking. He's like, right, I'm going to lag the game out. And the Shore Vampire is flying around. Vargeist are going to give up on the Pterodons here. Pterodon's doing some lovely damage to the Vargeist. Need to continue to flee, though. They are kind of getting trapped in the corners, which is a little bit bad. They've been ushered in there. But there's some good damage so far done to the Vargeist. We're going to see some nasty breath attacks coming in, though, by the Terrorgeist and the Shoreway Vampire Lord. Lord Mazdamundi is going to eat them. He does, of course, have Apotheosis and the potential to heal here, which is nice. But just bouncing around, and King of the Dead is just not really going to attack. He's just going to sit back and vibe for now, get all his forces into position, use up all his magic, use up all his breath attacks, hunt down the Pterodons. That's all he needs to do currently. Pterodons are swooping up and away, kind of kiting back rather effectively, and this has been a pretty bad trade so far for King, with the Terrorgeist getting destroyed, although they managed to catch these Pterodons, which is a little slip up there from the Pterodons, and they are forced off, so that's actually a pretty good trade due to the effectiveness of that left-hand side. No more breath attacks are going to come down on Lord Mazdamundi. Just, you know, camping up in the sky, Spirit Legion, breath attacking, all the standard, kind of standard tournament stuff, we'll say. And another Spirit Legion does go down on Lord Mazdamundi. Of course, he still has healing, and they're not actually done that much damage to him, so 1 or 2 heals can rectify the situation. But it looks like the Vargeist is going to continue to apply pressure to these Pterodon riders in the sky, who are doing a good job so far up on the Vargeist, who are just kind of getting a little bit struggled, a little bit beat up. Of course, they have the potential to heal. And it looks like Lord Mazdamundi is going to heal as well. The Source Warriors just going to vibe. Temple Guard as well, chilling in the center. Skink Chief is just going to continue to shoot as Lord Mazdamundi does indeed heal up. Vargeist floating around the flanks. Struggle Vampire Lord and Terrorgeist simply, you know, going to be waiting to come in. And once again, going to be coming in with those breath attacks, no doubt. So the nets in the air are a little bit of a mistake, I think, just because the Bodon's really bad at shooting air targets like this. It's missing even with the nets, unfortunately. It's also going to eat a big breath attack in the face. And now the main battle line is going to get underway. It's going to be good to see if we can get some banishments down on the Cane Wraiths to help finish them off and do some pretty decent damage. Another breath attack goes down on Lord Mazdamundi, and he's looking a little worse for wear. He still has Shield of the Old Ones, though. Still plenty of healing potential. Just needs to make sure he sticks next to his Temple Guard, because if he doesn't, you can guarantee King of the Dead is going to swoop down onto these units. A banishment or ruination right here on this like triple stack unit would be beautiful, and we're just about going to get that as well. Banishment goes down. These Cane Wraiths, bye-bye. Oh no, the banishment goes the wrong direction. It needs to swoop back around. There's obviously a little bit of luck here. It's actually tearing through a decent amount of the troops, though. Shield of the Old Ones is weighted to be used for that assassination attempt, and now the double Stagedon's doing good damage to that Lord. We just need the Temple Guard to come in support, and they'll be absolutely fine. Banishment is going to do a bit of friendly fire, but mainly damage to the enemy, which is good to see. We'll also get a ruination go down on a load of the troops. Lord Mazdamundi just about clinging on to life. The Temple Guard have to be fighting on top of him, and they're not currently doing that. And really annoyingly, Lord Mazdamundi is doing that stupid thing where he shows his back and rather than his front, so he just halves his melee defense. I do love the animation, but it needs to, yeah, it's really bad for these type of units. Sugar Vampire Lord is now getting pinned in place. The Temple Guard have managed to surround him. Lord Mazdamundi has fallen back, and the Source Warriors doing a decent job just cleaving their way through all the chaff. You can see the Cane Wraiths are just barely clinging on now because of a lovely Invocation of the Heck. And now that the magic damage is gone from Lord Mazdamundi, it's going to be a little bit tougher to finish those guys off. The Vargeist are on the approach, but they are crumbling relatively quickly, so Mazdamundi might be able to come back here. If he can heal himself, that'll be absolutely fantastic. Vampire Lord, like a coward, most vampire counts are, is going to be falling back and trying to save his own skin as the Skink Chief does chase him down. Temple Guard doing a decent job pinning back the enemy in all positions, but Lord Mazdamundi is going to be getting chased off here by the Vargeist, and that's going to be really problematic because there's no more banishments, no more ruinations, and the Temple Guard are fighting alongside the Skink Chief once more. Terrorgeist, as well as the Shoreway Vampire Lord, are struggling up against the Temple Guard, taking quite a bit of damage. Slippery has been popped on the Skink Chief, making him a relatively decent melee combatant. Needs to be hunting down the large targets with those the Temple Guard if possible. The other Temple Guard quite comfortably cleaning through all this kind of chaffy rubbish here. We're going to see some more healing go down. It is going to be on, I believe, the Shoreway Vampire Lord. Maybe not, no, on the Cane Wraiths. Yeah, now Mazdamundi's gone. Hitting the Cane Wraiths is the way to go for sure. Yeah, the banishment did so much work for sure. Did so much work. The Skink Chief's going to turn and fight. We have the Temple Guard fighting her as well. He has pinned, she has managed to pin in the Terrorgeist. Without Lord Mazdamundi, though, the Skink Chief just kind of getting overwhelmed here. And the vampire counts are starting to kind of wrestle the game away, unfortunately, from the Lizardmen. The Temple Guard doing a decent job. Skeleton Warriors going down. Cane Wraiths going down. And it looks like that is going to be GG in this final game of the stream. Yeah, that was a really mean vampire camp, but I'm not super happy, to be honest with that. But, you know, it is what it is. It's fine. It's fine. I think people forget that Dame's like brand new, and like the majority of people today have brought like really competitive tournament builds. So it is what it is. But you know, still, it's a good game, and we'll play the King of the Dead. I mean, I'm not holding that against him. Like, he played really good. 3,100 damage value to the Strigoi Vampire Lord, which is very impressive stuff indeed. Zombies and skeleton wards across the board did not too much. Cane Wraiths as well just got obliterated by like a well-placed banishment, as well as like the ruination and stuff. The Vargeist 430, 920, and 1.9k on the Terrorgeist. Well played to Dame though, 1.8k on Maz. If she had just had him fighting on the Temple Guard, rather than isolating alone, I think she's in a really good state, because she had gotten rid of a lot of the infantry. A lot of the Cane Wraiths were being dealt with, the Vargeist had been kited into the Infinity Realm, and then the Vampire Lord couldn't really hunt them down, but Lord Mazdamundi and the Skink Chief kind of fought on their own for a while, and that was the problem. Pterodon Rider's actually not a bad play. They got caught a little bit early, and one of them got trapped into the corner, but it was a good play to kind of kite back against the Vargeists. But still, Mazdamundi 1.8k, Skink Chief 1.8k is very good indeed. Is very good indeed. Yeah, no, Phoenix King, technically, from attacking rule point of view, the Vargeists are attacking the Skink Chief, the Skinks in the air. But yeah, I get what you mean. It's super like, yeah, kind of like tournament cheese. So you can just like Spirit Leech and Breath Attack. But luckily that won't really be happening, I don't think, like in the actual tournament. But GG's nonetheless. GG's nonetheless. So, we'll hop back in and have a little chat with Dame. What's up, Dame?
Hello.
Yo, yo, yo. You were so close. You were so close. It was just literally the one...
It was really laggy at one point.
Yeah,
I think
like
things were happening that I couldn't
Yeah,
see.
no, King's internet's not the best, I'm afraid, so sometimes it like lags out a bit. Literally, it was like one mistake. I'm gonna see if you can pick up on it first, and then we'll like go through it.
I didn't move my Pterodon Riders.
Oh yeah, no, that was like a small mistake. Although you did a really good job afterwards, you started kiting, so you were actually getting a really good trade there. Like the Vargeists are way more expensive than your Pterodons. Your Pterodons were kind of just picking them apart really well. You let one of them get trapped in a corner, but they were already like quite beat up by that point. The literally only thing, I think, you're in such a good position. You dropped a ridiculously good banishment. It killed like 4 units, which was insane. Is just that Lord Mazdamundi ended up fighting the Terrorgeist without the Temple Guard nearby. So he wasn't like fighting on top of the Temple Guard, and the Temple Guard are what force away those like Terrorgeists and the Strigoi Vampire Lord. But also you're not normally, particularly in the tournament we're doing, you're not going to have to worry about like your opponent kind of attacking and then like dropping Spirit Leeches and Breath Attacks and all that stuff. That was kind of a lot of like more like tournament play basically, or like elite tournament play, I suppose. So if you didn't have to contend with that, I think your build was actually really strong. You dealt with the Cane Wraiths with your magical attacks, and apart from that, as long as your big monsters fought alongside the Temple Guard, I think you would have been fine. Oh, yeah, the one other thing, so Morse has just, like, reminded me, is also, the Bodons can't really shoot air targets very well, just because of the arc of the bow. So you should have saved the nets till he landed. And then when he landed, you net him, and then the Temple Guard swarm round.
Yeah.
If that makes sense. And then you've got, you know, he can't run away, you have Temple Guard, you have 2 Stegodons, you're beating up his Terrorgeists, but netting them in the air is just a little bit of a waste of magic. I mean, I don't think you got to use up all your magic in the end anyway, but if Mazdamundi had just survived by being on the Temple Guard, you would have been in an absolute golden position.
Alright.
Awesome. So, hopefully, you're still all good for tomorrow. We do it like roughly the same time. You did play really good today. Honestly, don't be disheartened. The guys were really mean. I did tell chat off. They've been like literally almost every game you've played, apart from like 1, I think, were all like pretty hardcore tournament builds. But it is a good learning experience as well. It is one of the best ways to learn. So I did tell you you'd hate me by the end of the stream, so I'm getting that way. I'm getting that way. But yeah, we'll be back tomorrow for some more games, hopefully.
Sounds good.
Awesome. Very well done. You are improving all the time. And if you do have time to do quick battles, feel free to hop in and do them. And yeah, play quick battles if you want. If not, we'll just get back into it tomorrow with another stream.
Sounds good.
Awesome. Well, thank you as always for tuning in and playing, and I'll see you tomorrow.
Alrighty.
Yeah, adios.
Bye.
Cool. So that is going to be training session number 2. We have one more to go. I'm fine. Feeling ready for the weekend. Oh, Raptor. Did you go out drinking? Did you go out drinking? Well, anyway, that was some really good fun games. Hope you guys enjoyed the stream. Went pretty deep today. We're going to do the exact same thing tomorrow as well, which is going to be doing another training thing. We're probably going to get some more players in. I'll probably pick and choose some players in advance, and then we'll play some games and close out getting ready for the tournament. If you guys are interested in this event, it's going to be taking place on Total War Live, which is Total War's like live streaming channel, and Total War's Twitch, so you can check it out and enjoy. But until next time, guys, peace. Oh, once, Earl, thank you for the support, guys. You're awesome. Make sure to leave a little like, make sure to subscribe, and all that good standard stuff. And I'll see you back tomorrow. Until next time, guys, peace. And as always, stay